The party on the other side feels like, all of our friends call them. You heard or you saw the video that Kumba made. Oh, Kumba man la mo defarante. Hara like ma won ko demal mako gëna dof. And then bim, you and your gang comes online, dafaru bamba, mo so tuñ bi for a whole hour. And then you have gangs within these people. So you have supporters of Kumba and then now you have supporters of Fatu. So now Fatu supporters also feel the need to go online and vice versa. And I believe that as women in society, you have a great influence. I don't think that we should be used against each other. We should love and care for each other and unite even more to have a bigger and better impact amongst ourselves, you know? And my personal experience, when I did the song, Kuboka Sigetegi Nancy Mewi, talking about Yaya Jammeh and the situation in the Gambia, and I had to flee to Senegal, I have more than 200 screenshots of messages, threats. You know, people telling me if I come to Gambia, you know, they're gonna kill me, they're gonna do this, insulted my mother, like you know, saga nenko wasona. And these are all things that I think it's definitely wrong. And one major solution towards this is to make sure that we have an informed citizenry and population who can dialogue. That's something that's very important. And until that, we're just gonna be here, you know, hating each other for no reason. So now is drug abuse. This is something that I have much interest in, coming from Talinding Forokono, a disenfranchised neighborhood where young people are actually from the age of 12, 13, are starting to use drugs. And over the years, since 2017 till now, there has been an influx, right? This is more of a pandemic than COVID, of drugs, especially pills. Guy ko berry, wala gaubi. Okay, you see, they know. So gao, or all of these things, why is there a sudden influx of drugs all of a sudden? Recently, we heard on the news that a container of cocaine was, you know, captured here. We don't hear nothing about it. And 2 years later, there's a flood of cocaine everywhere in the Gambia. So I think that authorities need to really play a major role, because if you go to places like Kololi, you see our young women looking like zombies, turning into crackheads, which makes them more vulnerable to become exploited, because once you're under influence, you're no longer with your sense. So I do believe that the government definitely has to really do something, because if not, within the next 5 years, I'm really hopeless for society, you know, seeing young people. I also think that parents have a great role to play. Where I'm from, the mom goes to the market to sell, the dad goes to look for some money, the kids are alone, idling in the streets, influenced by peer pressure, and they hooked on. So I think our parents need to focus and put more attention to their children. Parents ngir yalla di len bay xel sen xalé yi ngeen jox len time, parce que time bobu nonu could distract them from going into the street. Since my time is limited, I'm gonna go straight into the sexualization of women, you know, using music and social media. I'm gonna start with that one again. Lee, problem bu si opa yep si kër yi lay starté. It starts in the houses. You will go to a house where you will see the first wife and the second wife di toog si kër bi di waxtaan lu leen neex. Hey, jaltali bu ma jënd bii nii tey lay def ba mbaax xaaral rek cuuraay bi su ma ko taalee ba suma alaaji nalaw ña fa tëdd bi. In front of the kids. The kids are like, ña fa la tëdda, bin bin. And they're learning from parents, from society that are supposed to teach them another way. Also, within the same home system, kids where I'm from have access to TV. So there's a love program on television. The children are sitting like this, waiting for that kiss. And then they all clap. Because it's tolerated in society, which is wrong. And these are things that lead up to our women becoming sexualized. Because if they find it normalized within their houses, then, you know, it's a major problem. Then you also see them having access to music videos that they should not be watching at that early age. My daughter had a birthday party, in January, and when they played the Niger music, all of these little kids, they're like, yeah, shake your body, oh, and everybody dancing. So it shows you the influence of music, which is mainstream, that parents should control what their children are actually on. You should not be watching TV with content that is censored in front of children. And this happens in our homes every day, and it's normalized. In fact, xale bi mooy oo yaay bi su théâtre bi di starté. Hey, yeah, boy, really commencé na dojo. Ah, waaw jërëjëf suma doom. You know, which is wrong. Then back in society, this is the critical one. Bii duñ ko dee wax. We have local events like Zimba, right, and Sabar. Now, in the Zimba, if you understand, 75% of the people who attend these Zimba dances are young children. Tickets are accommodated to them. Now, what the Zimba does is he plays the music, plays the Sabar, and then he runs around, find a girl to tajak. And then once he tajak, the whole crowd goes crazy. You doing tajak in front of children as young as 9, climbing on poles, dancing in front of children that are like 9. Sabar bi jigen bi fecana ba sani ngalamam bi Zimba bu góor bi ñëw ñàpp si kawam ñëpp yu day hey Zimba bi toj na in front of children. In front of children, my friend. Xam nga. So these are all problems. I'm sorry, it's hard when you give a rapper 5 minutes. I'm so sorry, right? So I'm gonna just move forward to the sexualization of women in rap. I'm gonna have to give you a brief context of how rap started. Rap, lu ko taxoon a jóg in the 70s, late 60s, was to be there as a voice to represent the Black and Hispanic people who were neglected by society, who lived in poor conditions. Si la rap juddu pour nekk kàddu boo xamante ne mooy represent society. That's the true art form of rap. But unfortunately, due to mainstream capitalism, they took that, corporations took it and changed the narrative of rap to promoting sex, drugs, and violence. Because that's what sells. Lolu moo dee jar. Ki la ay su taxawee wax fii ne dëkk bi dafa métti sàkku maalo bi dafa seer kenn du ko faale. Waaye su ma ñëwee yëngalal baby girl yaa fee toj nii ñëpp tàccu ma. And that's the power of mainstream media, which is controlled by corporations who have interest in selling sex through various artists. You see Nicki Minaj. So when you see Nicki Minaj, all you see is a sex object. These beautiful young women here see that and glorify. Hey, Nicki Minaj, xolal num leere, xolal num def dënam bi, xolal meesam bi, and then you grow up to that. So this is something that the mainstream has created to make it seem like the promotion of sex, violence, and drugs is cool. Your favorite artist might promote that. Look at even in Gambia. Holal somebody like Attack. Stala, Jambarla. Why Meti? La moy Meti? Getting drunk, getting high, getting messed up. That's what's promoted out here. Because we don't respect rap in its new and true authentic form of representing the people. And last but not least, I just want to say thank you because I have a whole bunch of stuff here and I forgot I only have 5 minutes. Thank you for taking your time to listen to me. Thank you once again, everybody. I'm out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cham. I'm sorry that we could only give you 5 minutes, but you've said a lot in those 5 minutes. I think one of the things I have grabbed from what you have said is that we now have to put PG on the Fecha Sabar and on the what is it again? The Zimba, etc. So the children shouldn't be there. We should put PG on it, yeah? Or no, on the 13s. Yeah, so we should start labeling all of those so that we know they're not there. But one thing you have really said that is also important is what was the purpose of rap? Rap was there to send out messages that would educate people, and it turned. It got commercialized, it got some sort of streamlined, that it became more of showing the women, the girls, etc. on TV in a particular form. So just to say, as people in society, when you're trying to look at what others are doing, pick out the good stuff and not the things that would turn you into a negative way. There are some messages maybe in rap that could really educate you in certain things, but please, not the part where it says they have all this Brazilian hair, I also have to get it, so I'll do whatever to get it, and all that sort of ideas. We need to run away and shy away from that. Thank you very much, Mr. Cham. We will move on to our next speaker, who is Mr. Usman Sediba. Mr. Sediba is the PRR and the head of the Demand Reduction Unit of the Drug Enforcement Agency of the Gambia. You have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much, moderator. I believe what my predecessors have said is sufficient. But then again, we will continue with the discussion. I want to call this day International Human Day. Why do I say so? Every one of us here, if it's not for our mothers, we know that yes, today the issues of sexuality is a complex discussion, but it's evident that we were born by our mothers. And without our mothers, we will not be here. The father's role is important, but the pain that the mother goes through, bearing you. So, definitely to me, I believe that the day we are celebrating, we will call it International Human Day, because without women, we are not here. So let's use that opportunity, first of all, to celebrate that. And celebrate and understand that as we talk about providing opportunities and helping our young people to make informed choices, it's all dependent, to my view, on the type of society we create and who we are as a people. Who we are as a people is a reflection of what we manifest in our character and in our engagement. And if we create that society where within our environment, even animals, the dogs, the cats, they feel safe, they feel respected, they know that they are not discriminated against, then we do not need to worry or wonder about the right of women, girls, boys, or girls, because everybody will be safe and everybody will be protected. So let's look at it from that perspective. That, let's work towards what? Creating a society, an environment where we respect, believe, dignify, and are tolerant to each other. And in so doing, I may not know all of you, but I want to celebrate Mr. Njai. The lecturer here spoke about the principle of Muslim. Why I say so, let's celebrate him. I say so because I worked with him, I worked under him at Muslim when I was teaching there 2004 to 6 before I left for Gambia High School. And I have seen his commitment towards helping people, vulnerable people, and promoting not just equality but diversity. And these are the type of people that we should create. When we create much of such type of people, we do not need to worry. Because why? Everybody's hak will be given to them. So let's work towards creating that sophisticated being that is not sophisticated by dress. That you do not respect Sediba because he's the PRO of the league. You do not respect Council because you saw her at TRRC. You respect her because, first of all, above everything, she's a human being. Is there anything that is above that? Let's work towards that, and then we'll have a better society. And then with that, it can help us to work within our institutions and know that when we are appointed to serve, but not to be served. Knowing that it is a hak, it is an amana that you'll be asked about. But then, if the society itself creates that system where we dignify, respect, humble people due to material attachment, the reflection comes back to the society. That being said, it's just to lay the foundation. The topic at hand that I am to talk about is a very complex topic that we cannot say everything here, but we can just look at some of the trigger factors. The issues of drugs. He lives at Talinde, and I live at Talinde. And you live at Kotu, he lives at Banjul, he lives at Manjai. We all know and see what is happening within our communities. It is not a secret for anybody. But the problem with these discussions is we keep on talking. We make action point. Where is the implementation aspect? And I tell you this, when it comes to laws, Gambia don't have a problem with laws. Yes, laws are progressive. We need to make amendment in so many other. But we have so many good laws. But where are the infrastructures and structures that are helping us to attain and realize those laws? It's important that we look at these discussions critically. Abating drugs, first of all, let us remember, drugs remain one of the most lucrative forms of illicit trade. There is no form of illicit trade that is more expensive or that's more lucrative than drugs. That is one. There is no nation on earth, irrespective of their complexities, resources, wealth, advancement in technology, that have totally abated it. We like it, we don't like it, the problem of drug is there to stay. But what do we do? Is how do we prepare our response mechanisms? And that response mechanism is not only in the government. A single tree does not make a forest. All of us talk about the problem of drugs. But how many of us are part of the solutions in addressing this problem? Because there is no one here in this room who sincerely will say one way or the other, I am not affected or I am not aware about a drug-related activity one way or the other. Gambia is a very closely tied society. But when it is Samba, he should go to mile 2. But if it is party that is related to me, munekela. So that's why to me, a reflection of Gambia, the bullying they are talking about on social media, is a reflection of who we are as a people. And we need to go back to the drawing board. It's a very simple rule. There is no hard and fast rule. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Respect people. Things you do to people. Nobody needs to tell you that you yourself know that I don't want this being done to me. Why are you doing it to somebody else? So then, abating drugs, there are two basic principles you look at. It requires a balanced, integrated, multi-sectorial approach between supply suppression and drug demand reduction. There are two folds to drug, but what we do is we take everybody and we put them all in one basket. Supply suppression deals with interdiction and legal processes. That is the arrest, the prosecution of people who deal and traffic drugs. Remember, at that front, drug is correlated to many other things. Terrorism financing, money laundering, human trafficking, promoting prostitution, cyber. There are a lot of, when you talk about the darknet, cyber crime, drug. So, you see, I remember when I left the classroom, one of my friends used to tell me that it's a wrong notion. Kafo man nika kan rombe min fo kan wala munyindi mbe kuma kan min fo kan ja wala muka musoni ndindol la nyantol dila ndew nga jele ko nyimu kule di miya lonko ninga banko dada nga na kabilol dada nga dulal dada daminto nga mobe bunya nga mobe horoma mobe la hako minyanta ka diala nga diala den manyan nakasila fon di musol na musol mil muy nyantol di mba dilela fonda dilela bari fana nyin siral fon kam minna kumo fo siral fon la kol koleata akelo koleata bari mimbe ke kan na bungol kono nga lonne ndam malle se nyo makoy aya fojang nimma nyo makoy aba koleal bi siral fen jamal le be nyim banko kan nun don yi ko nyamo. You talk about only cannabis, but today you have yes konksor nyama sifa dolem ye kushor yenyim pil sol sor adone ngay siral fon fo comme min boda Gambia college afonyo borol bejing bar nyin dolol fanam beje. So therefore I have seen that there is no time, but I've also seen the concept note of the organizers. It's very good, but then again let's ask ourselves this question. As a nation, as I said, there is a balanced approach: supply suppression, drug demand reduction. The direction today is on drug demand reduction, which is what? Prevention, treatment and care, harm reduction, alternative development, and alternative livelihood. Alternative development is key. If people don't have work, they don't have jobs, they will turn to something else. Coming to talk to them is not sufficient. A country at this level, what justification do we have to say that we do not have a single specialized rehabilitation facility? What justification can we give? But when you say this, people sit somewhere else and have their own interpretation that they give to it. So let's avoid personal bias. Let us work together. To the young ones, most of you, I work with you in some of the drug-free clubs we are launching in schools. I always tell you this: you can be anything you want to be in the future. It depends on you. You do not plant guava here, you expect to harvest mango. Obama, grandparent from where? Ancestry from Kenya. President of America. Chairman at the TRRC, Cisse, all the way from down there. What? Was at the UN, Under Secretary General. The Vice President, when he was being sworn in, he talked about what? The father even struggling to get a guarantee. But today what? Vice President of the Gambia. Allah is good. You don't do good, he pays you bad. It is back to us. Believe in yourself, work on your future. Collectively, let's address the problem and stop being personally biased and take on our own responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saidi Khan. I don't have much to say to what he has just said, but looking at it, let's respect each other. That's one of the most important things he has said. Let's respect each other. And the other one is like you were picking my brain and just talking about it. The structures, the facilities, the institutions, the lack of it, we cannot undersay it. We have to keep saying it. They do not exist in most of the sectors that we need to be able to implement the laws that we have. We need to pay attention to it. Hence why we're not moving forward. Hence why we're having these meetings. We keep talking and talking. We're still at the same stage. We don't have the facilities or the structures to implement. Thank you very much, Mr. Saidi Khan, for that. Mr. Saidiba. We might move to the next speaker, who is Mr. Essa Sow. Mr. Sow is the Deputy Secretary General of the Gambia Teachers Union. Mr. Sow was a former mathematics and English language teacher at the Ministry of Education. He is very devoted to his work and have impacted and inspired a lot of young people. Mr. Sow?
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Very well. Thank you very much. For the sake of time, please allow me to stand on all protocols. However, there are everybody's important, but the likes of Mr. Njai, Director Tida, Mushikura, I'm always proud of you. You must allow me, Madam Jabi, to identify them out of the lot, just to extend gratitude and then my high sense of appreciation. I have been requested to join my colleagues here to deliberate on the topic social media bullying and drug abuse amongst young people. What is the role of the regulators? If I say we here, I am introduced as an official of Gambia Teachers Union, but the second cap that I'm wearing here for the records is that I'm chairing a consortium of our child rights actors called CRAG, C-R-A-G, Child Rights Advocacy Group. We are very much delighted to be associated with this very important discussion for the simple reason that what I have seen while I was sitting on the floor was critically that we will be accorded the opportunity to identify both structural and institutional gaps that impede the monitoring, implementation, and then the fulfillment of our obligations on matters related to child rights in this country. Apparently, what I have seen, you have seen me on my machine all this while I've been adjusting, like taking cue from his conclusion, his words of wisdom, that we can be anything, But I want to add, with your permission, that the will to win is worthless if you don't have the will to prepare. So that high sense of commitment and the sense of devotion must be nurtured. What we've been hearing since in the morning, I was able to pick 4 fundamental issues as a matter for concern. I'm saying this because the Child Rights Advocacy Group is going on a retreat tomorrow and Saturday by the grace of God. And then we, with the permission of Paradise Foundation, the learnings from this discussion would feed into our action plan to not only react but to respond to the contemporary issues which are highlighted here. I have realized, like in the case of crack, that in this country, there is an absence of independent monitoring mechanism to receive and investigate individual complaints of violation of rights of children, as amply demonstrated by one of the cases that we had this morning. Like Uncle Peter said, we were almost shedding tears out of empathy because the situation was quite unfortunate. And either individually or severally, we all have a stake to play. On the unfortunate bit of it is the fact that I'm sure if the government officials have the opportunity, they will simply tell you that there is inadequate budget allocation, particularly to the departments of social welfare, likewise the child and the police child welfare unit. I have 2 cases on my desk. In certain instances, I have to provide taxi fares for the police officers to escort victims to the hospital. That's very shameful as a country. I've also seen that lack of effective enforcement of the laws, but more importantly, and for the purpose of emphasis, is the lack of attention that parents, guardians, and caregivers from them. In the case of social media, in terms of education and training, we expect young people to use the interactive applications on social media as resource materials to enhance teaching and learning through either knowledge creation or sharing information, ideas, or expressing their interests. We have seen this thing. It was evident when COVID struck. We saw the need for the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education to bring the school to the home. So what mechanism was used? One key thing was the use of WhatsApp platforms to make sure that learning continues. But unfortunately, what we keep seeing is that our young people are consumed by the internet with little or no attention from parents, as I said earlier on. However, instead of using social media to facilitate teaching and learning, as in our case, to enhance social and creative life by the use of those applications I mentioned above, what is happening, which is disturbing, is the fact that our children and young people, for that matter, are exposed to inappropriate contents, cyberbullying, and if you like, privacy breaches. This is very disturbing. Uncle Peter said here that we like stories. I can remember 30 years ago, in 1992 to be precise, when I was teaching in CRR, precisely Sankulekunda, I used to walk 3 kilometers to Janjambure Med Camp to talk to the officer in charge, one Lamin Marina then, to send a radio message to Undim International Airport, to be able to call my mom. It takes me 3 to 4 hours to receive or relay a simple message 300 kilometers from Banjul. But what is disturbing is that we have the curriculum in our pockets. We are connected virtually, and yet still we are registering scores of dropouts and certified illiterates in this country. What does that tell us? That something is fundamentally wrong, and we need to sit up. We have seen of recent that students are compromising quite a good amount of their time. Schools are left with no choice, in certain instances, to even go to the point of confiscating some of these gadgets or telephones from them because of the level, the degree of abuse on them. In the case of bullying, some of the inappropriate contents actually lead our young people bullying their colleagues. We have seen of recent that people posting, in fact, the saddest thing is in this country, even in certain instances when there is a fatal accident, instead of people responding to help the victim, they want to take video shot and share while people are struggling with their last breath. It's very sad and pathetic. At times, you see people sharing messages on social media that they have not even read, only to realize that what is being discussed, what they are sharing is a matter for 2019 or 2018. How many times will you see delete for all? Embarrassingly, because you have shared something that you yourself don't even know about. In our schools, 1 minute, let me wind up then, thank you. Let me conclude that to curb the aforementioned, the role of regulators certainly is to, in the case of our regulators, is to officially control, to put in place control mechanisms to curb some of these unfortunate things. But for me, I think that is very late. I want to encourage Paradise Foundation and all other child rights actors, in this case, to continue utilizing the 3Ds. Here we are discussing, we need to debate and dialogue with the young people to help them build the future that we all yearn for ourselves. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sow. It is important to know what you're putting on the social media before you put it there. Everybody pay attention to that, very important. Thank you all very much to all the panel members. The conversation was interesting, it was intense, and I believe the audience has learned a lot from every one of you here. I understand we don't have any more time for questions. My panelists took all the time. Just to say happy Women's Day to all the wonderful ladies who are here. I see quite a lot of women who have been working in the field of women empowerment, protection of boys and girls, etc. I salute you all. Really, you're inspirational. People like me carry my inspiration from all of you. Thank you. The Bajans that are here, well done. Keep the conversation going. The girls, the boys who are here, look at those who can monitor, mentor you into better people in society and follow them, etc. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Hadi, and your panelists. You all did well, amazing. We are allowing all of you to go down, except Killer Ace. We want you to give some spice to the show, and please give us 2 to 3 minutes entertainment. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like I got a random booking. I can't say no in front of all of these beautiful ladies and women. I'm going to just freestyle a song called I'm a Victim. It's called I'm a Victim. Neglected by the system, I'm a victim. Rejected by the system, I'm a victim. Then my dig on to my dalat, I'm a victim. Guaranteed non-reoccurrence. It's supposed to be a transitional justice. But in this transition, I still don't see no justice. I'm still feeling hopeless deep down. I'm so disgusted. A few years gone, nothing has been discovered. Yeah, I was promised truth, but witnesses are disappearing. Despite my trauma, I don't see no sense of caring. And yo, I cry deep down, it really hurts. They promise to put victims and their dignity first. They don't really seem to care about my violations. I swear to God, while I'm dying waiting, I lost my hope while the people are dying waiting. Cause I'm a victim, neglected by the system, I'm a victim. Rejected by the system. Then my dig on do my dalat. Then my dig on do my dalat. Neglected by the system. I'm rejected by the system. I'm a victim, listen to this, of rape, torture, brutality. Health-wise, I'm internally dying gradually. I am a victim of this corrupt judicial system. They seized my rights and then threw me in the system. Hey yo, I am a victim from the previous regime. I disappeared, murdered body never to be seen. I am a victim of shocking sexual violence. A group of men tied me up and forced themselves inside me. Every time I think of it, yeah, I start crying. I'm scared to share my story, so I remain silent. I'm a victim, neglected by the system, rejected by the system. Then my dig on do my dalat. Guaranteed non-pre-occurrence. Kuboka sigetege. Kuboka sigetege. Jërë jëf, man. This was by random. I just had to do it for my beautiful ladies. You know, but thank you so much, darling.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that entertainment. I think that's for you. Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the beauty in this hall today is too much. We are going to have our last panel discussions before lunch, after which lunch will be served, and then we'll have parallel sessions before we conclude. It's my honor to invite Pa Bakary Sonko of Peace Hub to come and moderate this session. Thank you. It's all yours.
Good afternoon. I know we are tired, we are hungry, we are exhausted. But I promise that this is going to be very, very, very short and precise, yeah? We are going to talk about sexual exploitation and abuse, harassment, young boys and girls loitering or working at construction sites. So I have the honor to introduce the members of the panel. Auntie Tida Jata, who is the director of at the Ministry of Director of Gender at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. Aminata Jaite, clap for them, please. Aminata Jaite, who works at the Girls Agenda. Rohiata C, Mothers Health Foundation. Jainaba Sar Sabali, who works at the Future in Our Hands. Mr. Suleiman Bunjai, a motivational speaker. And finally, Landin Kebe, Police, Gender and Child Welfare Unit, or Officer. So maybe you can take your mic. So whilst they set up, I just want to say something to Suma Morabindawi. My name is Bakary Sonko. I am the co-founder and national programs coordinator at Peace Hub the Gambia. Our work basically focuses on promoting effective and efficient participation of young people and women in peace building process. And that includes working with children. And this particular topic that we are coming to discuss here is of so much passion to me. Access to justice for children, ensuring that young men and young women are able to fully realize their potential and leverage on the opportunities that we have. But in as much as we talk about parents, in as much as we talk about the need to make positive choices, it is important to also remind young people, especially young girls and young men, young boys going to school, that every choice or every decision that we make in our lives do have consequences. It is either long-term or short-term. But the most important thing that I will always encourage young girls and young boys to do is to make positive and wise choices. That until you are ready to live what will not last for what will last, you are not ready to be your best. And one of my favorite quotes as a young person growing up is that tell me the sentiments that occupies the minds of your younger generation and I will tell you the characteristics of your future. That would bring me to the conversation. I will start with Auntie Tida, who is the Director of Gender at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education. to tell us about the work that the ministry is doing with regards to the topic of sexual exploitation and abuse, harassment that young boys and young girls that are loitering or walking around construction sites. You're welcome, Auntie Tida.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Especially our students, most of the girls. Good afternoon. And I'm elated that most of you are here. Why? Because you are very important in this occasion. So thank you very much. In this equation, not occasion. Thank you very much. Yes. And I would also like to say good afternoon to my co-panelists whom I know very well, and I know that they will do justice to this very important topic. Yes, our topic is a bit different. We're talking about construction sites, sex and gender-based violence in and around our construction sites. And I think some of us who may, hear this topic will start thinking, construction site, why? Why? Because we build schools, we build hospitals, and we build them in the remotest parts of this country. Building a school in Bolibanna, building a school in Sonkunda. Are children in Sonkunda aware of sex and gender-based violence? What should they do when they encounter, or how will they recognize that this is sexual harassment? What should they do if they feel that they are sexually harassed? So in as much as we talk about what happened in school at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, we also talk about what happened around areas of construction, where schools are being built, where hospitals are being built. So the ministry conducted a small study, the results of which I just want to share with you because we don't have much time. And the methodology we used was we used focus group discussion, we used interviews, we used questionnaires, and we also did a lot of observation. We go into the communities, we observe, see what is going on, and then we report. So what we found out was that in most of these communities, most of the women and even the men and boys cannot recognize what constitutes sexual harassment. And in fact, some uncomfortable touches that they may touch them, they couldn't even, differentiate whether this is harassment or not. That is one findings that we discovered. Another important thing we discovered during the study was that these men who are being employed around construction sites have lots of money. And we also know equally that in our communities, the income levels are low. So when men have monies in their pockets, what could happen? They can use the money to get the smallest girl in town or in the community, or to get the most beautiful woman in the community. So poverty, that is one, that is the low income level of community members. And the power of the few hundreds of dollars these construction or contractors or masoners or carpenters do have has a direct correlation with sex and gender-based violence in these communities. Another important thing that we discovered too, which is also a major one, was that, when we build schools, we build primary school, that is lower basic. Then maybe populations will grow, and then we will want to extend it to a lower basic. You still have children around.
And in most of these communities, it's in the same land. That's why we call some of our schools basic cycle. It's in this same land that we build the upper basics. Our children will tell you that. And these contractors also, have contact with our children in the school. And they may use also the money again, the economic power they do have, to be able to, manipulate the minds. Somebody talk about that, the minds of children in the schools. So those two we are discovered. So what should we do? The what next? Somebody talked about that in the previous panel. What should we do as a ministry to make sure that we protect the children, we protect the women in the communities, because it's very important. And what we discovered that should be done is, first of all, is to educate them on what constitutes sex and gender-based violence. So we did sensitization in addition to awareness creation. We also, not only on the level of the committee, but also the level of the contractors. And when I say the contractors, I mean the masoners, the carpenters, the welders who will be working around these areas. You understand? And in addition to that, we build a coalition with the police. I'm happy that my colleague Kebe is here, and also the Department of Social Welfare. And we came up with this safe schools environment. And I know a lot of the students will be able to tell you how are we making our schools safe.
Thank you very much, Amtetia. I will come back to you. I know people are very hungry, and comme lu Amtetia don't wasi angale rek. I will come back to you. I will summarize and comme lu nekk di wax rek, comme da lay gis ne school si ñu ngi sampa ay school, ñu ngi sampa ay hospital, ay lopitaan ak lu bari ñu wax lu ñu ko sam tali yi sax yu nekk di defar nii. waaye dañ dee faral di gis ne saa yu nekk ay ndaw ay xale jigéen xale góor dañ dee mun a dem di dem uti contract si place yooyu noonu te foofu noonu dañ leen dee mun a abuse maanaam dañ leen dee mun a jaay daanu seen kaw wala ñu def leen naka su dul noonu du leen even exploit nga gis mag bu dem pour dem uti liggéey foofu noonu ñu ko fay lu dem about $100 a day waaye xale bi dem because xale la yaakaar nga ne kii moom lu nekk rek mun naa ko koo def te dara du si génn. loolu yëpp daf dee am so taxawaay ministry moo nekk comme Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education gars yi seen taxawaay gars yi dañ def benn jàngat boo xamante ne study boo xamante ne looking into sexual harassment and abuse in construction sites comme loolu la nekk di wax rek dinaa ko bàyyi moom pour mu ñëwaat but I will just go to Aminata again koo xamante ne moom mu ngi liggéey ak ndaw yi di liggéey ak jigéen yi tamit pour ñu wax ñu ñoom seen liggéey ban taxawaay la gars yi jël si waxtaan bi nii nga xamante ne dem na di daanu si kaw jigéen yi ak daanu si kaw xale yi ak abus yu nekk di def jigéen yi ñoom as the Girls Agenda ban taxawaay la si gars yi am. Welcome, Aminata.
So we go in English.
All of you can speak all of this.
Mandinka. Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum.
It's not coming. No, it's coming. Yeah, no, it's coming. Assalamualaikum. Okay, I have to go in Mandinka. I was more prepared to go in English, but we are fine. Tito mu Aminata Jetelati, ning kafomi ka fay the Girls Agenda, ning wole be do ko wala. Bi dun kachami bekeri akumayata bakele. Andung kachalem fana mi yalon ko fundingkel la ko len. Andung ning fundingkel la ko fota sutu sungutundingo. Amu fenenti mi yalon ko the Girls Agenda akalu akuola bake. But bi na kacabe gena focus la fanamin na waleng ning dokuol be keri wala ni yirwa be keri sungutu ngol ling kam mandingol e kamum batada ko le sotoje andum fanan mum fenne sifalle ka finti ko manto 2022 the Girls Agenda through Ministry of Health and in Paradise Foundation Safe Hands for Girls anin ka fudol mi yalon ko wala nim fondin kel ka do ko ke kaca do ke no mi yalon ko wala sunda fenna fana mi yalon ko walen Ministry of Health ye projet ko min soto projet ko mi yalon ko ye wala nati kaje ko COVID-19 pandemic ay toral ko min sambana yaje ko ye lorol ke surtout l'hôpital mi yalon ko wala fana be kala another preparedness mechanism ti wala ka hakil tuoke pour ning COVID-19 la bata ko be sotola koteke wala te ning asifa be sotola ise do ko ke fanal mi yalon ko wala be problème wol nyin talala ntol dol fana be jang nga kala mutole ko farato construction site be jele construction site mi yalon ko million jamal lebe dunka a projet ko nyin kono banjul loptan ba fananto wo projet ko banjul dabe wo projet ko fanantole ntol nim mole kacha kele mi yalon ko wolle be nyin satel kono adon kol mi yalon ko wolle fintita je wala nyinti ko ning nyin doku sifa be kering jama sutu sungutu ndingol o dindingol na alfal ke bole kata firo la nyin dandangol do ibuke hakilo to dindingol to e ka dindingol bole kata firo la nyin dandangol to anon wo firo nyun kono sungutundi jamal beje ike mantora ko soto je ika dol nyapin kan ika dol balawma ika tilimbal ya ko tilila andum jama beje ibuka balanu atilimbal yala because kodo wala ka gena yus wo tilimbal ya nyun kono bari fana min beje wala nyinti ko alfa jamal fana beje ibuka hakilo to dindingol to surtout sungutundingol because ni sungutundingol bete bul anyanta kata school itama bulay ta school ya bula tara kata nyim firo la at the end of the day abe kodo min fo sambana ngiti anu anin abe montoro ko min sotola je montoro ko nyi wala ka genasia ni o fanam bote je nga jibel nga jele ko nyin do ko nyin kono e ka fami contractors mol mi yalon ko wolle be do ko la nyin fannala e ka taraje baake anu ku fanam be je mi yalon ko gambe jangum problème balti ni nyin do ko sifa be kering construction no nyin gambenol min kataraji apo ka doya bakele milka do ko ke jakake molati mi yalon ko forinale e kanale andum ni mo wambo ila banko kono surtout gambie be nyaminten luwala fannal aka kolea bakela pour ni moy tilimbal ya ko ke se bulo lano akan nyin do kulal ika codes of conduct sign le buko mi yalon ko wala ke sondi ka foko al sontale pour ka do ko ke wasatar alman tilimbal ya ko tiling bari alfale mi wosi wala nyinti ko ni nyin keta hanin tilimbal ya ko sotata wo mari nyol pour yakana aka sonia bakele because jani ka luwa noma foy luwa nyimbang wakata da amari yemanta wala aborta wala atata dulato mi yalon ko itata lon nola so nyimbe mo fenenti mi yalon ko aka mantor ku jaman le si sungutu ndingol la ntebe min dayila na alfa la wala nyinti ko nga hakilo to sungutu ndingol to sungutu ndingol la place o manke kata firo la sungutu ndingol la place o mu karangolati katu karang mu fenenti mi yalon ko wala bentol fanan demal bari ben hakil bulandi la na masakunda la ka foko ning nyin sifa be kering kan hakilo tuna luwalto mi yalon ko walle nyin tankaro sambandang na sungutu ndingole ala baraka
bake aminata amin fo akumayata bake ni tata nyin duku dulal kaje dinno na re ka balu momo so milka dindingol balu ka wandi dingol balu momo am kulete mi yalon ko aka kumasa woldo dinno kam do ko nyin ay tendal so dinna dorong mi fen diata abola kelen so min gana kumata wolen tulbe nin sifal sotata don kakala fo dinno nin dinno nata fen foy kakala fa ite mu wulolti wala wulya fo bula aka ke jamala anu aka mantoro fenan dinol sa mbe min kala don I will call on Auntie Rohiata C from the Mothers Health Foundation to shed light on the topic. Thank you. jërëjëf jërëjëf an jërëjëf wax bi set na Mothers Health Foundation jaa ngeen jëf. Auntie J. Sar, I just want to ask this specific question. We do understand that the Future in a House, you do a lot of work when it comes to schools, especially in the rural areas. And you award a lot of contracts to people to build schools or to build certain facilities. I just want to understand, when it comes to awarding of contracts, what are some of the specifics that you look into with regards to sexual exploitations and abuse?
Hello? I think. Okay, now it's on. I think it's fine now. Can you hear me? Hello. Okay, good afternoon. Thank you to our moderator for that great question. Thank you to the PF initiative for bringing us together for this very important dialogue. I think more of it needs to happen. And to just go straight to your question, before we really had to take on these issues of sexual exploitation head on, like a lot of institutions in this country, until through our partnership recently with MOPSI, through a project funded by the World Bank, which is actually one of our biggest, covering over 200 schools, 200 sites across the nation. We were so selective, but we also were able to adopt safeguarding policies and really implement them to the letter. And I think that has made all the difference, because we are coming currently to... Thank you. Okay. Thank you. We are rounding up on this particular project, and I'm happy to report that we haven't received one single report of sexual exploitation. And that is very rare when it comes to construction projects. As you know, construction sites are by their nature, they're very isolated, so they are normally a place where a lot of sexual exploitation happens. But I think when it comes to practical solutions, safeguarding is something I will swear by, and I will advocate for every institution within this country to adopt those measures. I know the World Bank is a shining example globally with very strong safeguarding policies, but within this country we have shining examples like ActionAid, CRS, MOPSI, and I would really encourage all institutions and even government to make it a requirement for contractors, like we did, to have to sign these safeguarding agreements. Because the amount of harassment and exploitation on construction sites is really huge. But if you have these policies in place, they come with a lot of awareness raising, first of all. And we have to admit, when it comes to sexual offenses in this country, awareness is really low, and that is the starting point. So we really have to go into the schools and really make people understand, get people's buy-in about how destructive sexual exploitation is on both boys and girls. Because while we focus on girls, and they should be focused on because they are the more vulnerable, we are receiving a lot of reports of young boys also being sexually exploited. So they shouldn't be left behind. And to do that, we really need to start by educating everybody. It's contentious, but we really have to stick to it. We really took on some very radical ways, from screening our contractors, from getting them to agree to sign these contracts, but also consistent training, radical approaches like having to build temporary housing away from communities, because we go into really hard to reach communities like Madam Tida talked about earlier. So we had to build temporary structures away from the community. And that in itself was controversial because it was not something people were used to, but it really worked. At the end of the day, I didn't really have to worry so much about these sexual offenses happening, although other problems came about because now, because they were so far away, we had issues of snakes. So for the whole project, my worst nightmare was having one of my contractors bitten by snakes, which is a different story. But at least we were able to know that this is a system that works, and we would definitely encourage everybody to employ these safeguarding policies.
Thank you very much, Auntie Jay. That was well deliberated. Mr. Njai, I'm going to jump you a bit, and I will come back to you. I want to go straight to Mr. Officer. Mr. Kebe, we understand that the gender unit of the Gambia Police Force does a lot of work in ensuring that they establish child protection officers, or they post child protection officers in police stations across the country. So the issue of reporting of abuse and exploitation, especially at community level. I can remember last year we did a project with UNICEF and the community policing and the child gender and child protection on access to justice for children who are abused. How often are these cases prosecuted? And what are some of the challenges that your office is facing in addressing the issue of abuse and exploitation for children, especially child labor?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good afternoon to you all. First of all, I would like to thank Paradise Foundation for this initiative, and just to let you know that the police, that is the Gambia Police Force, is a key institution that is closely working with Paradise Foundation in terms of responding and also in terms of referral processes of cases. As you say, the Gender and Child Welfare Unit basically was created with the coming of the Children's Act 2005 under Section 206. And that's why part of the reporting and response to cases, we have child welfare officers across the country. I know sometimes it might be difficult to identify them, but just to let them know that major police stations and posts in this country have a designated officer responsible for handling sexual and gender-based violence cases. And most of those officers also are trained to at least train and advise or also supervise to make sure that those cases, when they are reported, the way they're supposed to investigate and also handle. Because we all know, looking at our police station settings, in terms of reporting or in terms of handling of cases, not all officers have the understanding dealing with specific area like sexual and gender-based violence. And that's why we make sure that we attach all those police officers at various police stations to address some of those problems. And also, in terms of reporting procedures and referral of cases, now that the Ministry of Women, Children and Social Welfare and key stakeholders like MOSI and other stakeholders have developed a referral pathway. And that referral pathway, and also in line with also the laws in place, that in terms of reporting, people can report direct to the various helplines, that is the 1313, and we also have the 199, that is for the Ministry of, and also 117 also for the police. Because we realize that sometimes at our construction site, you may come across with a scenario or situation, and you might be from the same community member, and you don't want to report directly, for people to know that you are the one who report. Because in terms of victim protection, witness protection, we understand it's still a big problem in this country. So you can report through the helpline, and in terms of reporting also, it does not mean that because Section 67, subsection 1 of the Children's Act has mandated every member of the public who heard that a child is in need of care and protection can report to the nearest police station. So this is just to help us to say that I am not a victim, or it's not my parent, it's not my child, or I am not related to that individual. You can report. So even if you report, you don't want your identity to be disclosed, the law has also provided that kind of protection, even though you don't want to be a witness, because they realize that most of these sexual abuse and exploitation within the communities are done by members of the same community, either by a family member, friends, because we have investigated cases of rape where we realize that the perpetrator is within the family. Some are even the biological parents. Some are even the same sex. So those kind of situations, you can report through the helpline. And then if you report through the helpline, then the service provider, because the police is also part of the helpline, so that we'll be able to guide you and then refer you to the nearest police station. So you can come across with a situation and you don't want to leave that situation alone. The individual come to the police station and report. So it does not mean that when you report, and that's why part of our programs 2020 to 2022, we are doing a massive sensitization to sensitize police officers that in terms of reporting, not only victim or complainant can come direct to the police station and report. A concerned person can come and report. An institution can come and report on behalf of that victim. So it does not mean that if the report is made, you should tell the individual, you are not the victim or you are not the complainant. You should treat the case as it's supposed to be and then invite the parent. These are situations where we realize that if we want to leave everything with the victim, some of these things will not work. So
thank you very much, Mr. Kebe. Ka abe min fo kanu angale kan otoron walen ka ning yaade nyapinkan kada dinding kan wala boita dinding kan pour kata police wala ka fo police wala ning wo sifal kata na suol kono na kordal kono tarinka wala dulad ani yaje ite nyanta kata ka police ol kumandi wala hana kata tamantano police station there is a hotline 1313 melanko nyanta ka kumandi ni akumandi wato wati ibe dankulal bare min ka ke wala nyum maslaha ikaje ye dinno nyapinkang ne way ka fo alnga family alnga badim bun kacha ni wo ke ibe dinno mantora kanne ande mantoro min kanake nata da fonyato dinno yana ay kudo ke alkamune kanamune fo nyindino malbel yatale wala mon kulu o amega feneka ke dinno melanko previous speaker ya fo jam mola jata kende ya anin sonno mo kaje ko mo sonno mo fara yatra kere yari kudo ka kela ake sonno mo le jasi anaye daye sonno mo ja e ka kudol ke mol bu ka woje itel ka minje ite minke sai so akumata bakel ninin kesol akeda nka nyokumandi fana kata police olia nka nyin kol fana comme lum don wasi kala mo angale rek moy comme issues of rape wala child abuse amé wala ñu mëna dem ci police yi ñu wax ko gaay wala so mënute dem ci police yi sax mën nga call 1313 te lu gëna né ci 1313 bi sax so kolé jarul sa nga wax gaay yoy kan waxal gaay ne li ak li mo am ci place sangam kenn du ñëw di la laajte ndax yow yaa wax lii nii ndax yaa wax lii nii because soo demee nga boole issue of rape wala rape case wala case boo xamante ne it's exploitation against children loolu yaa ngi jaafale xale bi pour nga sàmma ëllëgam waaye su nekkee daanu leen si kaw xale yaa ngi ko gis yaa ngi noppi yaa ngi maslaham yaa ngi koo lor xam soo su nekkee xam nga ko yaa ngi koo lor soo ko xamutee yaa ngi koo lor soo gom naa ne suñ fi jógee dina mun a jàng fi loo xamante ne suñ delluwee suñ gisee any form of exploitation dinañ mun a oo police yi ñu mun a jàppale police yi tamit always dama day wax li nii comme police yi si ñun leen jógee ñu ñoo mun a jàppale police yi dundee mun a nekk am na ñoo xamante ne kenn nekk police seen kër yi waaye yow yaa mun a nekk sa police moo tax Gambia Police Force ñu am that slogan support your national police su lum ñëw moo nekk ñun ñoo mun a jàppale police yi suñ gisee naka su dul noonu ñu dem boole police yi waaye da ngaa gis ne dara mu xew ñu jàpp ko du nangoo wax police yi suñ paree ñun di seen people ñoo dee ñëwaat blame police yi police yi nekkul di def dara waaye ñoo responsibility tamit ñun dañ ko war a jël mun a jàppalante so Mr. Njie I will come to you that as a motivational speaker that changing hearts and minds, one person at a time takes generation. But with one few keystrokes, we're able to change a lot of lives. Throughout the discussion today, we were talking about social media. We were talking about how technology has transformed. I do believe that the world has changed. The world has transformed. But the way we also deal with changing situations determine how much we are responding to changing society. So I just want to ask you that in a changing society like this, what do we expect parents to do in order to place young children, young boys and young girls on the path to greater success?
Thank you. Mandamala mota da bade jok taxaw man teacher la dama dee jóg taxaw loxoy dañ dee wax tànkay dañ dee wax bëti dañ dee wax moo tax ba ngeen baalal ma taxaw ma wax ak yaay yi ak papa yi bu njëkk ba kër yi fu problème am ca kër ga lañ koo solver métit bu am ca kër ga lañ koo waxee loo bëgg a waxtaan ci kër ga nga koo waxee waaye léegi ndax loolu mu ngay am nañ problème boobu soo léegi yaay yi ak papa yi suñ delloo nañ fexe ci kër yi ñuy waxtaan dëgg la ñëpp a busy di ut bu rëy bu tuut waaye buñ fàtte itam ne njaboot gi foog ñu dimbale leen. Now my topic is, I'm going to talk to the young boys and girls here. We want to build a bridge between the information we receive to our behavior change. I want to ask you questions. You don't give me answers. They are rhetorical questions, but I want to show a show of hands. How many of you know what is the cause of HIV? How do you extract HIV? Just raise your hand if you know it. How do you catch HIV? Thank you. What is STIs? Thank you very much. What is rape? Thank you. What is drug abuse? Thank you. You all know all this information. But lana tax ngeen di mandi di tux di biir lana tax lan moo tax you've been informed of these things. You've been told about pregnancy. You've been told about drugs. You've been told about this and this and this. Ba tey yéen a ngee biir ba tey yéen a ngee mandi ba tey yéen a ngee daw school. That's why we want to take action. And the action is we want to give you life skills. Ngeen mun a wax déet te miin ko su nit ñëwee laal sa wang nga ne ko bul ko laalati buguma loolu yéen jigéen ñi am ngeen yenn tàccu yu ngeen dee def xale bu góor bu la def yenn yi soo ko defee nii benn ko nii soo ma laalee du ñëwati dafa daw waaye yéen xale jigéen ñi jàngaluñ leen loolu xanaa yaay yi ak bàjjeni gox yi fexe leen ngeen jàngal xale yi loolu ñu xam ko being assertive mi waxal déet te miin ko waxal waaw and you mean it. But if somebody touches you here and you say, Mr. Njai, I don't like that, that's not enough. I don't like it and you mean it. Then the next time I will not touch you there. Just school. Some of us teachers, Linde def moy, xale bi amul badge, fi moy ween wi. Nga nan ko, where is your badge? Where is your badge? Tey door fi. You have the right to say, don't touch me there. And you have to do it. So students, please, your communication skills, your negotiation skills, your developmental stages that you go through, you should be brave enough to communicate that to your parents so that at the end of the day, your parents can help you. Now I want you students to raise your right hand up. All females, all students, your right hand up. I want you to put your left hand on your chest. And I want you to repeat after me. Thank you very much for this association that has brought us all together. The Benjamin, is it what? Paradise. We promise that when we go back to our schools, when we go back to our communities, we shall share what we have learned here. We promise that when we grow up as gentlemen and ladies, we will do our quota in national development. So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I recognize some of you here. You've already taken the oath. If I see you misbehaving, know that you have swore, and then if you don't do your part, you are part of the problem of this country. Do you want to be part of the problem of this country? Huh? So it's important that we abide by the things that we say we are going to do. It says a lot about who we are. And who we are is not always the personality that we show outside. It is when we are alone or when we are posed to do certain tasks. I will want to take this opportunity to thank these wonderful men and women for their contribution towards national development and all the work that they do. Please, a round of applause for them. And I will also want to take this opportunity to thank Paradise Foundation and Aisha for putting this together. Yes, we can come together and say a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it is what we are taking home. It is not what is said to us that changes our behavior. It is how we interpret and how we take charge of our own lives and responsibility. Just a few seconds. I was a teacher. I went to the Gambia College. I was posted at Bakote Upper and Senior. I was the youngest teacher. That was about 5 years ago. I was the youngest teacher in that school. And one opportunity that I had at the time was I was so much connected to the students. The students were literally we were of the same age. If you see me in the midst of students, you would think that I was a student. But one thing I've learned, that years ago when I was a teacher, or when I was a student, that if teachers stand in class and say a lot of things, we tend to understand that Kidafa Bariwa. So when I assumed the role of a teacher, I reflected on a lot of things. And I've put myself in the situation of those students. How would I influence them and how would I inspire them to become who they are? And I'm glad that the batch that I was teaching graduated. Some of them are at the University of the Gambia now. So it is not the achievement. It is the process towards that achievement. Young men, young women. This life, Jaru Yakamti. What is on social media? They are mostly all delusional. If the pictures that you see on social media causes you to do certain things, it comes back to the fact that if your desires are backed by a strong determination for the achievement of success, you end up losing your sense of reasoning. As young men, as young women, please, please, please reflect on who you are, what you want to achieve, and where you want to see yourself. Few years to come, you will find yourself in a position where you're going to question your choices of yesterday. But the most important thing is the choices that you make now could be very, very unpopular. But the truth is, when you are up to good, sometimes you are lonely. But if your lonely nature forces you to do something in order to get company, probably it's going to end up being with the bad company. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you, Pa Bakari Sonko, and your speakers. You all did well. And I've had the students taking oath, and I hope you will keep up to those words. We will do a little bit of changes on the program. We plan to have lunch after this session, but I saw most of you very busy eating and drinking. So we're gonna tick that box. However, we will accommodate 5 minutes health break. If any of us wants to have health break, it's accommodated. As we move on to the next sessions, that was initially planned to be parallel sessions. Now we're just going to have them seated here and in a form of discussion. So as we welcome them, I hope Auntie Lizzie is around to welcome her panelists. We are going to have Mustafa Dabo, UTG Student Association, to share a poem with us. Mustafa, kindly please come forth as Auntie Lizzie is setting up. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon to you all. I go by the name Mustafa Dabo, representing University of the Gambia Students' Union. And I am asked... Okay. I'm given 2 minutes to recite this poem, and it goes. Suñu dundu nak neexoon yaay liir waaye bu Yàlla tàcc woon suñuy biir bam fa yaatu woon ni jigéen ju biir. My skin was my identity. It gave me a sense of belonging and dignity. It defined who I was. A dreamer full of dreams running free like a horse until a sudden night. I woke up to realize I had lost the will to fight. My skin began to change. It was spotted and strange. I couldn't accept living in a state of denial. I kept my true emotion inside whilst dying slowly on trials, not wanting to acknowledge what was abnormal. I desperately wanted to feel normal. Nama ki ma woon be fàtte ki ma doon moo ma sonal ndaxte kenn ooyul ma ne Mustafa ñëwal bokka. I was scared of my own image. I was afraid of what I would see. Tears fell down on my spotted face like salt water in the sea. I lost hope in my being. I felt it was the end of my well-being. People stared like I was death itself. They began to judge me. They pointed fingers towards me, but I couldn't accept. I asked, why? Why me? My emotions were battered, my hope shattered. I wonder where I belong. I tried to fit in and move along, but I was confused. I felt I had nowhere to fuse. But a day came. A day came when a little voice in me called my name. Munema Mustafa, jogal nga tahaw. Jogal nga tahaw ngir sa gum-gum. Sila hamne, it's my responsibility. I had to stand up and face the reality. I was tired of being in a state of unhappiness. It was time for me to accept me with readiness. I was willing and ready to gain control. Trying to stop rejecting myself somehow, I began reaching out. I needed healing inside out. Degala. Yaram bi daw na dégg la xol bi fees na waaye kenn ci yéen ma ne kenn ci yéen bu ma wax ne yedda bi des na te ñu xam ne lii ndogalu Yàlla la ku nekk mun nam la koo teg nag surtout yaa ngi àdduna kon kum ko teg rek muñal te xam ne lii nattu la soo ne lañ génne xel yi ñu gettal xol yi te xam ne bu xam doon jiitu waaye bu xam doon jiitu réccu du am mukk. I thank you all.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, amen. Empowering girls to make positive changes. I now realize that the only permanent is change. When I came in here today, I had a prepared speech, but then walking through the session, I realized that everything that had to be said has already been said. So I'll just try to give snapshots and we go ahead. The angle we'll be taking now is how do we create a balance between society and technology? Everything has been said about technology, and a lot of bad has been said, and of course some good. So what we will be focusing on in this session is how do we create that balance between technology, society, and beyond. And also, what is the role of the parents, the community leaders, and the state in all of this. But before I say anything, I'd just like to kick off by saying that technology is good. Wax nañ lu bari about technology, wax nañ yu baax yi ci technology, wax nañ lu bon li ci technology. Waaye ñun li ñoo jéem a indi mooy dañoo jéem a tënk affaire bi yëpp pour gis naka la ñoo créer balance bi. Waajur yi lanaay seen warugal, community leaders yi lanaay seen warugal, ak nguur gi ci boppam lanaay seen warugal. Man nag dama bëgg a door di wax ne technology lu baax a baax la. Because during the Industrial Revolution, technology meant steam engines, telegraph, spinning wheels, etc. While léegi nii ci suñ 21st century bi, technology fast as lightning. You have the internet. Suñ ne technology, we talk about digital technology. We have smartphones, we have computers, we have videos, everything to make life easy. Robotics, artificial intelligence, and all kinds of sophisticated things more nekk under technology. So duñ mën a ne technology baax na waaye fokk ku nekk xam fi nga am ak technology. Because fi mu nekk nii in this current day, it's been shown that 90% of all jobs have a digital component. So su fekkee ne bëgg nga relevant in today's society, fokk nga tech savvy. That being said, we would also acknowledge ne with every good thing, am na lu si bon. To that end, we have distinguished panelists here. ñoo xam ne they're very vast in their various portfolios, and who happen to be people that have great leverage in our society. ñoom dinañ discuss ponka yi ma wax noonu. So li ma wax mooy am nañ fi ay niti ndombo tànka yoo xam ne seen baat nit ña ngi koo dégga. So ñoom ñoo ñëw fii pour dimbali ñu tey wax about lii. Waaye man ci suma coobare boppa li ma ñaan mooy ne this meeting not be just another workshop. maa ngi ñaan ne from this meeting dinañ mën a am realistic action points yoo xam ne dañoo am closure dates, action plans ne nii ak nii ak nii lañ ko defee ba pare ñu def ko. If not, meeting dafa am meeting ba pare dara du si génna. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, I would introduce Imam Jah. When it's time for him to speak, I'll expand on his portfolio. Imam Jah, you're welcome. Mam Yasin Sarr, who I've been seated to for the past 5-6 hours. Nyang Jai, Bintu Fati, Majabu Gay, and M. Diba. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll start with Imam Jah. Imam Jah is a religious leader and served as the first vice president of the Gambia Supreme Islamic Council, appointed as a member of task force on the Qadi courts and district tribunals. He has attended a number of both local and international Islamic conferences, which themes range from population, culture, education, health, Islamic education, and other related religious issues. Additionally, he is a religious television and radio broadcast. Imam. Fo buga rek.
Lu tax nga tàmbalee ci man. Waruloo na tàmbalee ci man, danga waroon na tànn keneen mu ubbil ma bunta bi. Ala kullin, bismillahi arrahmani arrahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursalin. Sayyidina wa nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. maa ngi nuyu suma mbokki panélistes yi gannaaw bu ma nuyoo présenter bi di nuyu itam soxna yi teew ci jotaay bi ak góor ñi ñépp nag di ñaan yàlla lépp luñ fi def yàlla na dëppoo ak bëgg-bëggam ñi nga xam ne ñoo xalaat programme bi tam woo ñu fi seen bëgg-bëgg yàlla na ko yàlla sottal mu yomb lool man nag dama xaw a sàggan ndax tey nii lay doora dégg fan lañ ma yeew lan laa war a wax si ndax man dañ ma wax ne rek damay bokk si ci programme bi waaye awma dara ba ni ma ñëw nii ba tax na damay xaw a gàkk waaye ma jéem a góorgóorlu rek ci kàddu yi ma dégg ci li nga wax ma def ci suma contribution bu ñàkk solo xam naa mbokk yi nga xam ne dinañ wax suma gannaaw dinañ ko mottali defe naa yaa ngi bugg according to li ma read fii mooy balance between society, technology and beyond. What is the role of parents, community, leaders and the state? Topic bu am solo la bu rëy la nag boo xam ne laaj na waxtu waaye su kenn ku ne cofee tuuti rek incha allah yàlla dina ko defar jamono bi ñuy toll ñëpp xam nañ ne jamono technologie la mooy ne àddina bi dafa tëbin bu gaaw ñu jógee fu suufe dem fu kowe ci wàllu xalaati doomu aadama naka la ñuy gàttalee waxtu li ñu waroon a def ci 10 hours naka la ñuy def ba def ko ci 1 hour lu fukki nit waroon a liggéey naka la ñuy def ba kenn nit liggéey ko ci loolu lañu toll mu nekk nag loo xam ne duhul ne ñun ñoo koy contrôle technologie gan la dañ ko fi indi ki ko fi indi it xamuloo ko boroom xel la ku yàlla may xel la mu create loo xam ne paaka ñaari boor la paaka la boo xam ne man nga cee def lu baax man cee def lu bon bu boobaa nag paaka boobu li mooy jëf dafa topp nit ñi koy jëfandikoo soo xoolee jamono ñun ñëpp nangu nañ ne jamono yàqu na xol yi yàqu nañu xalaat yi yàqu nañu te nit ku ne li nga am moom ngay joxe nit ku ne dafay tànn ci technologie bi lan moo dëppoo ak ni muy xalaatee ak nan mooy bëgg-bëggam comme que nag li ëpp ci nit ñi tey seeni xalaat ak seeni bëgg-bëgg li ci ëpp dafa négatif loolu moo tax li ëpp ci li ñuy def ci technologie tey dafay négatif man noonu mooy suma gisin fi may tàmbalee rek pour joxe ci firnde mooy doomu aadama àgg na ci ñor foo xam ne su fekkoon ne jëfandikoo na xelam mi ci loo xam ne day build waaye du destruct maanaam dafay ittewoo building not destruction konoon nit ñi ñépp mën nañoo dund ci noflaay ci xéewal ci jàmm ak salaam waaye xalaat yi gën a rëy ci lu xalaat génneete ci jamono mooy atomic bomb mooy li gën a rëy fi ne nii lu doomu aadama defar nga xam ne mun nga laal benn botin ay thousands wala hundreds of thousands nit dee ki toog di xalaat loolu di ko defar ñaata la jël ci time pour mën a defar loolu soo demee sax amut jabar soo demee sax amut doom because talut leen mu ngay defar lu tax ngay defar lu rëy loolu pour faat bakkanu doomu aadama yàq doomu aadama ba nga ko liggéeyee ba pare mu nekk mbott mu dee ci loxo labu lantan ñemewuloo ko yuus ndax soo ko yuusee yow yaay njëkk a gaañu nga war koo nag protect ba loolu bum rëcc ci sa loxo loolu it ñu war cee fere alal ju bari alal ji ñu defaree atomique bomb alal ji nga ko protecté suñ ko joxoon Gambia ak Sénégal ak Mali benn atomique bomb rek mën nañoo toog ñaari at yoo xam ne sax seen budget bii doxal réew mi duñ ko soxla te doomu aadama moo defar loolu di seen doomu aadama boobu moo ñu defaral yeneen technologie yi moo ñu defaral internet bi mu defal ñu ay banqaas yoo xam ne internet bi moo koy doxal defaral ñu Instagram defaral ñu WhatsApp defaral ñu Facebook ak TikTok ak yeneen yoo xam ne ñu ngi ko defar kan lañ ko defaral nit benn bu ci ne nit mën na koo jëriñ ci mbokki nitam man su fekkoon ne tey am naa Instagram wala ma am TikTok wala Facebook bés bu nekk mën naa ci di joxe ay lesin yoo xam ne ku koy déglu mën nga cee defaroo nga defar keneen waaye keneen ku bokkut ak man xalaat nga xam ne yàq mooy liggéeyam moom su koy jëfandikoo mboolem li muy produce yépp luy yàq la because nit ku ne li nga am moom ngay joxe suñ demee nag ba gis ne technologie boobu mbir la moo xam ne dafa mën a destroy society kon suñ waru gar la ñun ñi nga xam ne ñun ñooy society kenn ku ci ne jéem a bay saw laaj ba nga xam ne yàq-yàq yooyu du mun a tasaaroo ñi war a bay laaj bi mu ngi ci jox parents yi dañ ci am liggéey mu ngi ci amit community bi mu ngi ci am leaders yi mu ngi ci am state xam nga soo xoolee society ni muy demee mooy xale bi ci foofu la ñuy tàmbalee xale bi first of all dafa am lu ñoo tuddee parents wax naa leen ne nit ku ne li nga am ngay joxe parent mu ngi mun a defar xaleel su fekkee dafa defaru loolu il faut ñu bàyyi ko xel waaye ku defaruwut mënoo a defare am na fi ne ay ndaw yoo xam ne ci biir société bi seen parents ci seen bopp ñoo leen yàq jigéen joo xam ne par exemple mu ngi gis doomam bu jigéen muy génn di ñëw waxtu wu ko neex waaye saa yu ñëwee dana am lu mu teg ci loxoom pour mu dimbandikoo ko ci dépasse bi mu kontaan lool gërëm ko di xas ay mbokkam yi nga xam ne mënuñoo def loolu kooku lan lay jàngal doomam boobu noonu génn ak naka lay ak ndax lijjanti na doomam boobu moo xam bu góor la walla bu jigéen ndax daf doon dem di jaay boppam ndax daf doon dem di jaay drogue lu tax mu am xaalis boobu fan la ko jëlee léegi yoonu kenn nekkatu ci kon péereen boobu suñ ko tabaxut ba mel ni mu war a mel kooku moom itam du mun a tabax kenn in fact sax moom dafay doon kuy yàq kon waru gar la ci péereen muy taxawu njabootam di jéem a contrôle ci wàllu technologie ak mboolem lu muy jëfandikoo ci internet beeg mbooleem social media branches yi mu di ko toppa di xool lan lay def lan la ciy jëfandikoo kañ sax la doom jooju kañ la war a mun a amee mobile boo xam ne war naa mën a def ay Instagram ak ay Facebook ak ay lu nekk ak YouTube loolu ci boppam daf ko war a njëkk a régler waaye loolu it parents yi réglé tuñ ko li jàpp mooy xale bi su juddoo rek day nekk mag day em ak yaayam dañ koy bàyyi ci lu ko neex because child's right li ñuy tuddee child's right dafa am ay tur yoo xam ne tur yu rafet la yu baax xel daf koy nangu waaye warta nekk lu absolute doomu aadama feek amul lu koy tënk muy am lu ko nga di ko defloo mbir moo xam ne sax neexu ko wala nga di ko bàyyiloo lu ko neexul feek doomu aadama amul loolu na la wóor ne fi muy jëm du baax ci moom te it yow it du baax ci yow waaye suñu àggee ci jamono ba xale bi nga xam ne xelam mi dafa commencé di màgg ñoragul nga di ko emale ak mag mi nga xam ne màgg na ba xelam mi ñor am na expérience am na ay jaar-jaar xam na luy yàq xam na luy defar ñoom ñaar nga emale leen foofu la yàq tàmbalee kon su boobaa foog naa ne li war parents yi first ñoom ñi nga xam ne ñooy jur xale bi nekk ak moom time bu yàgg balaa moo génn ci mbedd mi war nañoo fexe ba def ci moom ay jikko mu roy ci yaayam ak baayam jikko yoo xam ne dana mën a sax ci moom su boobaa su génnee ci mbedd mi dina fa fekk ay virus because naka bad behaviors ay virus la yoo xam ne dafa attaque xeli doomu aadama di attaque xolab doomu aadama su boobaa kooku su génnee ci kër gi fekk moom mu ngi clean kooku moom dafay tasaare xelaat yu baax loolu lay góorgóorlu di ko def ci mbedd mi waaye du jëlee virus di ko indi ci biir kër gi kon biir kër gi loolu mooy liggéeyam xam nga xale li ëpp ci time am mu ngi koy def ci këram mbedd mi ak school bi for exemple mooy loolu balaa moo nekk mag ba toll ci ñu di ko employé muy liggéey diir bi muy am ci kër gi mën naa wax ne mooy diir bi ci gën a gàtt daanaka ndax suñ xoolee ni éducation di demee tey xale bi buy génn sa biir kër ay boori 6 lay doon ay boori 6 kañ la fiy delsi ay boori 7 fekk moom exhaust na xamatut fu mu jëm bu ñëwee fi ne nii nu muy def ba lekk nu muy def ba sangu même homework sam si sax ndax dana ko mun a def kon kooku time bi muy def ci kër bariwul time bi muy def ci mbedd mi loolu government state bi lañ koy en state bu ne war naa fexe ba mbedd mi du dati mbedd mi luy yàq nit du fa ne waru ñoo fekk ci mbedd mi kuy jaay loo xam ne day wàññi xelam doomu aadama wala mu yàq xelam doomu aadama time bi dafa jot.
waaw jërëjëf imam.
time bi dafa jot.
waaw time bi jot na waaye li nga wax lu am solo la waaye li nga wax am na solo te am na maanaa because yow as a religious head.
léegi loo bëgg ma wax.
da nga bëgg a daaneel.
ma daaneel.
waaw daaneel
jeex na.
waaw ba pare
bon li ma bëgg a daaneelee. because xaw ma woon ban time laa war a wax xaw ma ci dara.
5 minutes lañ jox ku nekk.
man ñii ñëpp suñ ma joxoon seen time bi man dana baax ci lool.
waaw xam naa
li ma bëgg a tëjee suma kàddu rek mooy dafa am benn mbir moo xam ne dama soxla social media bi parents yi ak state bi ñu takk seen ndigg góorgóorlu fexe ba contrôle ko ñu fexe ba bu mu fi nekkati ndax bokk na ci li nga xam ne day yàq suñu société bi te mu ngi tàmbalee ci jigéen ñi xaw ma ndax xam naa ne yéen sax xamu leen ko waaye dafa am benn problème bu ñuy tuddee tabac dégg naa benn mbir la boo xam ne jigéen ñu bare léegi dañ koy jëfandikoo wax nañ ne su fekkee jëfandikoo nga ko am na ñu ngi koy jaay ci mbedd mi doo xam sax ki koy jaay kan la dañ koy utal ay tur yoo xam ne tur yi du loo xam ne lu siiw la su ko defee dañ lay nax wala ne lii soo ko jëndee soo ko jëfandikoo dafay faj lu ne métitu bopp métitu biir dafay tax sax nga am alal lu ne danañ la ko ci wax soo ko jëfandikoo mun na la attaque ba jox la sax feebar yu bari yu jógee ci xale yi léegi fekk sabab bi ci foofu lay jógee naka la ñuy def ba state bi minister of health ak ñi ñuy tuddee interior ak judiciary ak ñi nga xam ne ñooy lawmakers yi naka la ñuy def ba minister of health duñ jéem a gëstu lii ñu am report bu wéer ne daf lii is harmful ñu fexe ba ñi nga xam ne ñooy liggéey luwaa yi ñu liggéey luwaa ba nga xam ne loolu danañ ko génnee ci réew mi ndax bu mu yàq suñu société bi ëllëg loolu laa bëgg a tëjee suma wax waaye loolu nag soxla woon naa lu bari wax ko ci wa sallallahu wa sallam ala sayyidina muhammad wa ali sayyidina muhammad subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin
waaw fi nga daanele am na solo imam
masha Allah
ndégte wax nga about béy sawar ak jagar jikko yi as a religious leader loolu lañ doon expect si yow pour nga wax ñu on the moral obligations yi nga xam ne waajur yi am nañ pour def ko te loolu wax nga ko ba pare fi nga daanelee mooy naka la organisation si yu nguur yi di ñëwee pour def mechanisms in place boo xam ne yàqa yi xew du amati looloo tax waxtaan yi la baax ñu ñëw wecciyante xel ndax because benn xel du xel
jërëjëf
kii am xalaat bi kii am xalaat bi ñu formulate ko def ko in a document jox ko nguur bi su neexee yàlla ñu mun koo saafaraal jërëjëf. The next person whom I introduce is Mam Yasin Sarr that I just met today. Why since 8:30 ñun ñoo toog fii te léegi sax suma friend la. Mam Yasin is the co-founder and director of Starfish International, a non-profit organization that seeks to advance humanity through girls' education and service learning opportunities in the Gambia. In her work, Mam Yasin is also dedicated to exposing young people to the best resources to be change makers and thought leaders. Mam Yasin, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good. Good afternoon, everybody. Since Ustaz spoke in Wolof, I'll speak in English. And for our topic about technology and balance, first let me say I'm here because of Starfish International. So yes, my name is Mam Yasin. I'm the co-founder of Starfish International. It's a girls' education program that has boys in it because we cannot do girls' education without boys. And my experience working with young people is really what brings me here. So I'll try to do that in 5 minutes, looking at technology, balance, society, community, and parents. And the first thing when I saw the title of balance, it made me smile, because balance is one of the most impossible or hardest things to find. Any parent will tell you that. Anybody who has lived long enough will tell you that balance is very hard to find. So I'm not going to talk about how we find the balance. What I'm going to say is that in order to pursue balance, as we go after balance, we have to have a certain level of humility, a humble posture of learning. So if we come to the table, whether we're parents or we're children, if we come to the table feeling like we know everything, then that balance eludes us. It becomes impossible. So I think that especially as parents, as community members, as governments, we have to assume that humility, that we have a lot to learn, and therefore, once we are that humble, we can begin the conversation, right? So if a parent wants to know what the technology is that their child is going through or dealing with right now, enough to be able to intercede at a certain level, they have to be willing to learn. We cannot say we're too old to learn. I'm your parent, therefore I don't have to learn this. I'm just telling you not to do this, and that's it. And so that's the humility piece. The same thing goes for communities, the same thing goes for governments. But we're talking about technology. And so when we talk about technology, the only thing I know that it is of most use for us is technology as a tool. But if I brought you a hammer, or I brought you a saw, or I brought you a TV, and I said, this is a tool, if you don't know what to use it for, it is of no use to you. So what is technology to be used for? And I think for young people especially, and older people as well, to answer that question, they have to realize that we have to identify what our purpose for living is. So if we look at the title, it says Empowering Women and Girls. Empowering to me means that we give the tools so that when the person is by themselves, they can make the right choice, right? So as I mentor young people, I have to think, how are they going to use this technology when I am not there to police them? And that's where understanding what our purpose in life is comes into play. So if I'm going to use this technology as a young person, what is my purpose in life? Why am I on earth? And what am I supposed to do? At Starfish International, we say that our purpose is service. I'm supposed to get an education to grow up, to be a part of this world, so I can not only help myself and my family, but help other people as well. So when you look at that service then, that person is serving themselves and they're serving their community. That service, if we are to tell young people the truth, is where our happiness lies. So everything they're running after, everything they're going after, is really truly so that they can be happy. But their happiness lies in using their lives to help themselves and help other people. And that is an enterprise where the truth comes out, that it is an enterprise that takes moral, spiritual, and material well-being. So, if I'm a young person and I'm looking at my phone and I want to know how much can I do on this phone to make money, be famous, show that I look good, show that I'm a slay queen, show that I'm living the life, if young people understand and older people can help them accept the fact that that is not the only purpose of their lives, and that in as much as you can gather wealth and material, there has to be a spiritual component to it. Are you a kind person? Are you a generous person? Are you a truthful person? And that those qualities are already in you, that God created you with those qualities. So when you say, I am a noble human being, that means nobody else needs to police you, right? You can look at yourself and know what is good and what is bad. Excuse me, on this side, I'm sitting on the stage. On this side, on my right-hand side, I'm so far from you, but I can hardly hear myself because you're talking so much. And so if we can just keep it down, I only have 2 more minutes, and then you can go back to business. Thank you. So this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying about the spiritual qualities and the moral qualities, right? These are not things that technology can give us. These are things that we can use to impact technology. So as I'm sitting here looking at you, how much respect do I have for you? How much respect do I have for your time? Those things matter to me as a human being and you as a human being, because then we don't use technology to harm people. And because I work with young people all the time, I always want to talk to parents, because we sometimes forget that we were young once upon a time. And so young people don't want to just listen to us. They want us to tell them what we were like at their age and what have we learned in the process. I know that this side of the room, you feel left out because I talk to this side of the room. So to make you feel as special, can you please listen to me for 2 minutes, just like this side, and we will be good. I beg of you. So let me say this about young people and older people, right? Parents, some of the time, when we encounter difficult positions like technology, is your child on the phone or not? What are they doing on the computer or not? We come to it from a position of fear, and that does not come with kindness. So dinañ téye halal, dinañ saaga xale bi, dinañ ko xas ba deseewu dara. Ak lu metti luñ ko mën a teg dinañ ko ko teg, because dañ ragal technology bi. So we have to look at ourselves and as parents and say, xale bi ma waxal ko wala ma xas ko ban moo gën, parce que xale bi nit la. And then that child can look at you and say, man de buguma rusloo suma waajur. And it all comes back to this idea of the spiritual qualities going side by side with the material qualities. Why am I just focusing on the parent and the child and not the state and the community? Because I believe that the state, when done well, is like a parent. A good parent, a good state is a good parental figure, and a bad state is a bad parental figure. And sometimes when we think about the state, we don't think about ourselves. But the community is made up of individuals, and the state is made up of individuals, and the laws are made by individuals, and the implementers of the laws are also people. So the challenge I have to end my 5 minutes with is that we challenge ourselves to go back home and think about how we use technology, how we find that balance, and how what God calls us to do is to look beyond ourselves. And if we're too busy looking outside of ourselves, that's where all the conundrum comes.
Thank
and
you,
I want to
Mami
offer
Hassan.
this humbly and say, Starfish is one place that this is happening, and you're all welcome to visit us and come work with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mami Hassan. Like I said, bima ñëwé won dama soppi doxin fi mu nekk nii because lu nekkaa ngee nekk di change maa ngi realize ne fu mu nekk nii xale yëpp dem nañ maanaam daanaka mag ñee fi des te session bi is a very important session bi fii la ñoo jëlee lu nekk tënka ko liñ wax yëpp lu bon lee lu baax li yëpp fii la ñoo jël everything put it together in one. Ma'am Yasin talked about humility. Our children have to be taught to be humble. Bible bi mu ne humble yourself and thou shalt be exalted. Wàcceel sa boppa Yàlla dina la ekkati soo demee palaas bul toog ñëw toog sa kanam demal toog sa gannaaw ba borom xew bi ñëw def la ci kanam soo suñ xale yi liñ leen war a teach mooy to be humble ba pare looking through activities of some of our young people tey man prefect la woon school so duma dee am too much patience pour impropriety from xam nga ay young folks li ma leen a wax mooy avoid leen instant gratification gis nga li tudda fat taf na gaaw nene looloo leen a ràcc gis nga ñi fi ñëwoon yëpp looking nice fi mu nekk ni sax def nekkatuñ fi where have they gone to? Be patient. The patient dog gets the fattest bone. That being said, thank you very much, Ma'am Yasin, for your words of advice. I like the fact that you were able to tie it into the responsibilities of the parents and the state. Man mom, lima ampul wahiyep man, moy ci government bi ci state bi lan mo wara nek taxawayam because xam naa ne ñoom imam dinañ wax about the moral part of it, the parents yooyu xam naa ne Dadi Njaay moom dina wax ci state bi so man boobu la pare wax waaye xam naa ne fi mu nekk nii Miss Bintu am na lu moo war a yokkat ci waxtaan bi tam tey being ne most of ñi fi nekka duma ne suma yaay yi waaw waaye suma mag yi ak suma ay tanta yi ak suma ay raka yi ñu bari ñi fi nekka foog naa waxtaan bi dina gën a neex su fekkee ne def nañ ko ci kaalaama olof mbaate soose thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, our able moderator. I will say good afternoon to everyone, and I also want to acknowledge the good work of Paradise Foundation and the CSO fraternity with Government of the Gambia for coming up with this great initiative. My role today is to emphasize the role of the state. I think state as an institution, just the last speaker mentioned, who is the state? State is made up of individuals, and these are institutions that exist, and it's individuals who are positioned in those institutions to serve the interests of the population.
Bintu ni ma la dogee yal na bu la Yàlla dog dama just realize ne introduce ma Bintu properly. Bintu is the director of Children's Affairs at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare. Man suma papa moo door social welfare Master Yunsin be pare suma raka moo fa nekkoon Fanta Bay Seka. She is an advocate against FGM, SGVB and child marriage. With her knowledge in social work and advocacy on women's rights, promotion and protection, Ms. Fati is very devoted to her work. Balalma, thank you.
Thank you so much, able moderator. The role of the state, like especially Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare, in the morning, I think my able Deputy Permanent Secretary and Meat and Finance highlighted some of the roles played by the ministry. We are responsible for the coordination of welfare of children and women in the country. That is right promotion and also coordinating with other institutions. If you look at child protection, it's like climbing a greasy pole. No one person can do it alone. And home play a great role because that's the for socialization of a child. So as a parent, we should be responsive in our behaviors and ensure that we put good behaviors in our children. But I don't know, it's because of the social media use. Right now, it is so devastating, like some of the things that we receive, or some of the complaints we receive at the level of the ministry. When children of less than 7 years can go online, and they will be engaged on child pornography and sending it to sex sites. What is happening to the moral fabrics of our society? This is a question to be left hanging on a balanced scale for all of us to talk about it, to think about it, and that is what brought about this great initiative for us to brainstorm and have a frank discussion on child protection and ask parents what is expected of us. At the level of the ministry, we ensure we engage parents on responsive parenting. We do training on responsive parenting across the country to ensure the information filters down to the last person at the grassroots. This is an opportunity for some of the students living within the greater Banjul area. I was like so grateful because during my time and age, to even see an educated person in the village where I come from who will coach you and mentor you to the right path about education was hard to come by. So we have to struggle in darkness because we don't have access to television, because we don't have electricity. But you have both. Make best use of this opportunity, like social media, to ensure that you transform these to have better educational outcomes in your career development. To coming back to the Ministry of Gender, the government of the Gambia has established this institution for the first time in 2019 to ensure you also have an independent Directorate of Children Affairs, where I am the first director to be responsible of the welfare of children, to ensure that your issues are looked at independently. We didn't stop that. We also established the National Children's Assembly so that you also have a platform where you can use this as an advocacy platform on behalf of other children who are not opportune enough to be part of the National Development Dialogue. We do not stop there. We also went as far as creating child helplines. Okay, we went far to also create child helpline, to establish structures where if you come across child sexual exploitation or anything that has posed danger in your life, you can always touch base for response services. And we have case management systems at the level of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Welfare. When it comes to
wax bi am na solo. I just wish ne li nga doon wax def nga ko ci Olof Mate Socé, because yaa ngi doon joxe ay resource avenues foo xam ne nit ñi mun nañ faa dem. Te comme que yaay tanta yee yaay yee mag yee fi nekka, it would have been good su fekkee ne am nañ time dinañ dellu si yow ndax ñu xam yow sa taxawaay lan la ci lan nga liggéey ak yéen lan ngeen a mun a saafaraal si réew mi, because fii nekk na dëkk boo xam ne pour am information is very difficult, du naxari la danga nekk di dox in darkness te fekk xëj na am na koo foo xam ne mun nga faa dem. Waaye jërëjëf, thank you very much. So the next person I'll be inviting is Majabu Gay. Majabu Gay is an educationist who dedicated his career in educating children with special needs. Loolu am solo la. Dikte bu njëkk ba special needs yi dañ leen daan ber fàtte leen. Waaye sant Yàlla fu mu nekk ni biñ amee loolu. He started teaching in 1996 and taught in all grades from grade 1 to 12 as an advocate for human rights, which includes the rights of the disabled. He also taught at the Gambia Organization of Visually Impaired School for 7 years. boobu mooy Govi man amoon na jamono boo xam ne I had a lot of dealings with Govi, and there was this particular guy that was a family friend called Mamour. I don't know if Mamour is still there. Why su fekkee ne mu ngi fa nga send ko my greetings. Thank you very much, Mr. Jabugay. You have the floor.
Okay. Good afternoon to you all. As one of my mentors the other time stood here and said he's a teacher. Teachers, at most cases, we cannot sit and talk. We are used to it. It's part of our system. And on that note, please accept me or allow me to stand and then talk. Today, our role is to talk about the measurement between the society, technology, and beyond. What is the role of the teachers, the community, and then the state? It is very sad that the race between the technology and society there is a big gap. Technology has gone far beyond society. Society used to be behind or in front of technology. But one thing I believe is society itself is like a relay team. Your great-great-great-grandfathers handle the baton and pass it to your grandparents. Your grandparents pass it to you as the parents. Now we all accept that there is a problem. Is it that the baton drops along the time of during the relay, or what? Is a big question that we have to ask ourselves. Where does the failure lies? This is where the problem is. Me, I believe I am guilty because I feel that I have failed in my responsibility as a teacher. Simply because when I say teacher here, I don't mean only the classroom teacher. All of you here are teachers. My parents, none of them has gone to conventional schools. But they were able to handle this baton and then put me to the right place to an extent that technology don't go beyond me. So why is it that me plus you and the others, we got it wrong? Technology is everywhere in the world. But why is it that in the Gambia, it has gone out of hand and then beyond the society? And we all know that society is a well-structured body with rules and responsibilities. But in technology, technology is not structured. And you don't have rules in technology. Let me tell you. In fact, you cannot follow technology. But with society, it is structured from that organization or that company you call couples with their one child or children. It is structured from that beginning up to one of the biggest organizations called the UN. When we got that unfortunate scenario, the day that we were deprived from that 9 months of paradise, when we come to this earth and then start struggling with our first breath to look for that first to look for that first oxygen, it was a tough moment. Mothers, you are also teachers. Fathers, you are also teachers. But together, there is one thing I realize, that is, we are distant ourselves from our children. Now, what is the role? Now, what is the role of the teachers, the community, and also the state? There is one thing I want the state to do. That is, the Ministry of Children and Social Welfare, I am pleased appealing, and take it from here and make it a policy document. Try and then employ more people and then send them to the regional education offices to be focal points to monitor the drop of students from school. The whole country, we are lost because we don't know. The whole street is filtered with lot of dropouts, and then the state don't realize it. The past 2 years, grade 9 exams, 20-something thousand students sat to the exam before they reach grade 12. About 13,000 sat to the grade 12. And in conclusion,
Mr. Gay,
now in conclusion, the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education also, I would want them to collaborate with the parents and make sure that every child, once you are registered in school, let your registration be renewed every year. Just like taking your child to grade 9 and to grade 10, and that's the end of it, up to grade 12. This is one of the things that is disturbing us. So I want every year, yearly registration.
Yes.
I think we have...
You're right.
Say, but
yes, Mr. Gay, I feel your pain. Man, me teacher lawon, suma yai teacher lawon, suma papa teacher lawon, suma uncle yep teacher lawon, suma tante yep teacher lawon. So understand na, ne ñun mom suñ dooree di wax dañoo am a whole world of information pull impact on people. So pull dokko do they neka low easy. Why nga balal ma rek. Why lima it's not easy to discuss certain topics in the local language. So man sax I'm doing a big effort fim neka ni sax pull wax ko in Wolof. So what I'm trying to say fim neka ni moy ne yow waxon nga ne kilifa yi def béy nañ seen waar def nañ li ñoo war a def jox ko seen doom yi nag lu tax mënuñ ko jox seen set yi loolu doy na waar because su xaleel juddoo xale bu ndaw la baby lekka sax mënalu ko boppam yow waajur bi nga dem xale bi di grow ba ñëw mag yow waajur bi lan nga am pour delloo back into society waaye lu dul nit ku yàqu nit ku derelict loolu le waajur yi war nañoo seet seen boppa bu baax jagarati seen tooguwaay ak seen taxawaay dikte danga gis ne parents ñu ngi wàcca ci seen obligations talking about the balance yow waajur gi soo nekkee ak sa doom nga gis ne doom ji mu ngi ci internet bi mu ngi ci technology all the time technology baax na waaye lu em saf lu ëppa safadi yow waajur bi demal nga ne ko time internet am na de ak time talk danga gis ne fi mu nekk ni xale yi seen social skills yi sax dafa wàññeeku bu njëkk ba ñun dañ daan toog di waxtaan di lépp man léppkat bu mag laa lépp bu nekk laa mun waaye danga gis ne xale yi soo leen ne léeboon lippeen xamatuñ sax naka lañ laa tontoo so ñun parents yi ñoo war a dellu back to that di control seen gune yi. The other day dama dem benn sëy maa ngi toog ak suma friend bi nooj ma mu ne ma seetal ma ne ko lan seet bu góor bi ak seet bu jigéen bi ñëpp ñu ngee text so maa ngi ne waaw nii who could they be possibly texting so ñun ay waajur yi war nañoo am suñ limitations yoo xam ne dañ koo def ci suñ doom yi because technology bi sax all the time baaxut soo toogee yaa ngee toog chances are yaa ngee lekka instead of nga nekk outside di def sports yaa ngi ci technology bi ba pare sa bët yi daf koo yaaxa man mi for one loolu is something loo xam ne moo gën a accelerate suma bët yi fi mu nekk nii yeah so coming back to the speakers I welcome M. Diba. Yeah. M. Diba is a feminist and an advocate for women's affairs. So, Miss or Mrs. Diba, nga try, nga, you know, limit go to timing, yeah? Thanks.
Thank you very much. I would like to say hello to everybody, and I would also like to recognize the presence of my fellow panel members. It's an honor to be in the midst of you and to learn from you as well. So I'm going to be speaking from a feminist perspective with regards to children when it comes to the social media space, right? So first of all, I would like us to speak on the fact that we live in a very patriarchal society, and I feel like when it comes to issues around girls and women, that's something that we need to look at. And as a feminist who does a lot of her activism online, there are a lot of feminists who have spoken up about social issues that have been attacked online, that have faced sexual threats or death threats for just daring to speak up. So, and I can only imagine how difficult that is for people around my age or even older. So if it's that difficult for us, how much more difficult do you think it is for an adolescent that's maybe somewhere around the age of 14, 15, right? I feel like we sometimes forget that teenagers are trying to figure themselves out, adolescents are trying to find themselves in this world, and they're trying to find their voice and who they are. And more often than not, we do not tend to extend them grace, right? We've seen recent issues online where news of adolescent girls are being shared, or even child pornography. I personally had a conversation with somebody that fell victim to this sometime last week, and when we had a conversation, she said to me, when my news were leaked, there were so many people that turned their backs on me, and the only reason I shared my news with someone was because I trusted them. But up until to that point, she didn't even know what the news are, right? And what she told me was that, she said, I went through all of this, and my parents or nobody at home they had zero clue. And this was something that happened over 4 or 5 months ago. And she was telling me how she was even suicidal at some point, and you know, somebody found her and saved her. But the issue is, when she said to me, I hid it so well that nobody knew. That broke my heart, because it showed that we're not paying enough attention. Not even just as parents, but as siblings, because we have a responsibility even as siblings, because maybe sometimes there are conversations we're not comfortable enough having with our parents that we might have with our siblings. But how much are we paying attention to the people around us, like our siblings, our children, right? And I think that's a typical example, because for me, as an advocate for sexual reproductive health, I know that we live in a culture that does not really endorse having conversations about sexual reproductive health with kids. But I think that those are conversations that we need to have. In as much as they are uncomfortable. There are kids who have been victims of abuse that have no idea that they were victims of abuse simply because they're not informed. They don't have enough information about sexual reproductive health or even their rights. So for me, it's just basically taking back to how are we paying enough attention, right? Because my issue is, kids want to belong, adolescents want to belong. I feel like everybody wants to belong. So more often than not, when adolescents are online or spending as much time, they want to be a part of something, right? They want the attention, the pictures, the snaps. They want that attention. So it makes us. We have to reflect as a society, as a community. Who are the people we're trying to raise? What type of information do we want them to grow up having? And lastly, I just wanted to say that we all have a role as a community, as a state, as parents, to pay attention, right, to have conversations with our kids, even the uncomfortable ones. And I feel like in terms of solutions, maybe even something we could look at is having, even linear literacy skills taught in school, because those things are not happening, right? Because one of the things this girl told me was that I didn't even know there were rules, or that there were things that, you should not do online. So just to say that we need to have conversations again and just pay attention and listen more and understand that these are people that are trying to find themselves, and we should extend them as much grace as possible. But most importantly, do the listening and give them all the attention they want.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Pay attention and listen well. Okay, this was by design. Nyang Jai ma jox ko pour mu wax last suma chameñ. Nyang Jai Omar Njai is an economist and a consultant in public policy. He is the managing partner at Knowledge Bank Consortium Gambia Limited, which provides public policy advisory services and business development. Nyang Jai is a lot more of other things. So, Mr. Nyang Jai, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator, and it's an honor to be here. Good afternoon to the people on the floor, and a belated happy International Women's Day, and to my co-panelists, a great afternoon to you all. The topic that we're tasked to talk about is the state of affairs, technology, the community, and how things are. First and foremost, we need to understand that the technology we have been exposed to is somehow good, but is very deliberate by the people who develop it. Just like you have the Colombian cartels pushing drugs to the world, the technological companies are also deliberately, psychologically pushing information to us. And in so doing, they are craving the dopamine we have in us. There is something that we secrete called dopamine. It makes us want something. And what do we want? Attention. And that's the likes, the clicks, the snaps, etc., etc. This is where we find ourselves. And how can we fix it? There's the community level, that's society, and there's the state level, and that's legislation. And these two need to come in place if Gambia as we once knew it will survive. Why am I saying will Gambia as we once knew it survive? Our moral code has changed significantly. What our fathers and grandparents used to consider as a no-no is acceptable in our society today. And these are nothing that's domesticated, but they're foreign things that we are being, not forced, but we are accepting on our own because no one is forcing us. I think there is a moral obligation on society, especially on religious and political leaders. Religious leaders, in a way by they can make us remember the do's and don'ts of our moral code. Political leaders creating legislative frameworks to make sure that we have parameters that we don't go out of. The new monster we call Gambia today is nothing that we're used to. People are insincere, people don't care, and decadence has just taken over. You walk in the street daytime, barely you can see people walking naked in the manner in which they dress. You walk daytime, you see people high on drugs, on alcohol, on other substances, and there is nothing anyone can do to them. So we need a convergence. The convergence is society and government coming together to bring back the society where our grandparents left it. Yes, the world has since moved and Gambia will move, but we want an emergence that's going to build positive outcomes for the Gambia, not the outcomes we are seeing, because in the Gambia now, Roy dafa daha pir. We have copied things that we don't know nothing about, and we think we are the Kardashians, we think we are the rappers in New York. Sometimes we think, I don't even want to mention those things, we are doing it better than those people. And this is disintegrating our society, and we need to come back to the middle if we want to pass on the next generation of Gambians, a Gambia that was passed on to our generation. So technology has to be used, but it has to be used meaningfully. And today, if you look at our use for technology, we're not using it to productively change our lives in terms of our economic outcomes, but we're doing it only for one thing and one thing alone: social status. Social status meaning recognition. And this recognition is detrimental to our societal growth. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. That's very good. She requested Namajoko 2 minutes more in Mantinka. Very good.
Mbari mandinkolo ana moy lalu bimu lunneti puru wululal bejang puru jannimbe saita suwo kono ning kibar sebojang mi yalon ko abe kala nafa kibaroti isaje ninna dindingol se kacha nyame biniyaje panelo to nga kacha minke wolo man sakundala lodula puru dindingol la kuoto surtout ni nata na nyin technology jaman labango puru dindingol ka use nyaming anim fanang parents sol wole wululal timilbe suwo kono. So komi ngaje nyamin ko manto mbe ajele wululali e lodulale soto anu dindingola kuluru la folo wolem suwo konoti woto wululal be nyanta nga dete nyola ngan tewol city nga lonna dindingol la kuola ni ka kacha because kacha kumaya tabakele e bajele dingo nin kuya batandi aba folete wululal fanan nyanta ke la lodulata because idingo wata be internet o bala dobe je kaje nin tubabol ka kacha online. So kaje wululal dol woka ke kontane kuolti ka fa na fatmata e tubabo sotole so woka ke tele jusula rangolti bari buka long fatmata nin tubabo nyi ka mun kusi fale kacha abe mun mantora le nati la fatmata e wo mu fenneti mi yalon ko akumayatal because Gambia jangaje ko manto mi yalon ko dinna din sunkutun dingolu ike use le online komi kanyin cyberbullying ika sex video sol dada ike sen online milialon ko wo sex video sol mbenga ni tata online dobi je ke samba sex site sol leto ika ke business rangoti andu ite nyaada be tarala wotole forever mi yalon ko asete mantora ayela family mantora woto wululal mbese dete nyola mansala lodulalam pour ka luwa bukol dada but luwa bukol damante diningol la kol samba nola wululal fana nyanta yela lodulata pour ka diningol kulu ala baraka.
Okay. Ala baraka bake. Okay, thank you very much. Something, Luma, everyone has talked about parents, community leaders. Why they go too much about government, state be, ban balance len wara provide, you know. Land more expectations. Singa hamne yung ko set from ngurgi. Man lima buga pool state be def bobu mo ngurgi. Moy digital technology ñu dugal ko ci suñ curriculum bi nite fu mu nekk ni ku tech savvy wut rek am nga ay you're gonna have problems because 90% of liggéey yi yépp am na some kind of digital component to it. So government bi dañ war a door di dugal digital technology ci suñ curriculum bi ba pare ñu am action plans ñoo def in place pour waa Gambia ñu nekk digital natives. Did I impress you with digital natives? Gambians should be digital natives. I have a little anecdote, 1 minute la jël. Gis nga UK government bi in the 2000s dafa am strategy mu ne by 2018 90% of waa dëkk ba yépp dañ war a am access to the internet. So biñ waxee loolu tooguñ si loolu de lan lañ def dañ dem door di liggéey ak school yi ñu dem engage internet companies yi ñu jox tax breaks ñu provided laptops loolu la yépp ñu def ko da nga gis ne as a last year 93% user penetration lañ am. So nguur gi soo waxee ne dangaa def dara doo ne danga koo def rek ba pare toog noppi danga put action plans in place. Engage ñi nga wara engage yep. Am action plans li la ñoo def ni ak ni ak ni. By this date la wara pare. Lolu la ñoo seet si nguur gi pour ñu dimbali ñu. Fi mu nekk ni the British people wa Angleterre yi dañ amoon foresight. Can you imagine as far back as 2000 xam nañ ne dañ wara digital. Can you imagine su fekkoon ne ñoom yàlla mayu leen xel boobule COVID ñoo happen. When COVID happened, everybody was working from the computers. Why by then ñoom amoon nañ seen action plans, but people were up to par. About 2 years post-COVID in Gambia, newspapers yi ñu ngi doon print ne suñ xale yëpp dañ fail si seen school leaving exam bi, you know, and then ñu ngi blame xale yi, After the kids had been out of school for ay ñaata weer, ñun ndax béy nañ suñ waar, ñun lañ waroon na def ndax def nañ ko. Loolu yooyu steps yooyu lañ bugga pour nguur gi door di ko xalaat def into place loo xam ne daf ñu am foresight gis-gis pour mun ñoo dimbali. Te the way forward in this world now is digital technology. Thank you very much. Paradise Foundation ak ñi ñu àndal ñu ngi leen a gërëm pour session bi. I hope ne suñ fi jógee dinañ am concrete plans yoo xam ne dañ koo teg pour address points in fi wax. So hopefully there will be a position paper boo xam ne nguur gi dina put into place some of these things. Maa ngi nuyu Auntie Aji Ami Jata, one of the Bajans, Auntie Louis Job, one of the Bajans, man my Bajan Lizzie, ak Auntie Die, one of the Bajans Nekofi. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Bajan Lizzie, and your speakers. We are pleased to have you here. Can you please join me to give them a round of applause as they go down from the high table? Thank you all so much. Now, we are almost getting to the end of the event. I am observing some space in our sitting arrangements, and I want to plead with those who are sitting behind to come a bit further, because this last session is going to be very interacting, where we'll have a lot of things to do with the young adolescents themselves. Please come further to occupy the seats that are in the front. Thank you so much. It's my honor to invite Mr. Lamin Fati, the coordinator at the Child Protection Alliance, to moderate the final session. Thank you.
Good afternoon to you all. It's difficult for me to be active when after taking my lunch, And also, I want to make this the shortest amongst the sessions. I know we've been sitting down since morning. But before I start anything, I want to acknowledge the president of the DPS, Antibai Seka, who is the Deputy Permanent Secretary from the Ministry of Health. And I'm not only acknowledging her presence, I'm acknowledging her as being one of the people responsible for this day, for the event to be fruitful. We knocked at her door. In less than a week, she was able to facilitate that this day happen. So I want you to acknowledge her by clapping for her. Thank you, ma. All right. I know a lot has been said. And since morning, the more I listen from one speaker to another, the more I realize how much we have to do as a country. The issue of social media is complex. And there is no one single way to address it. Why it is more complex is the fact that when you talk about the issue of access to information, when you talk about the issue of transfer of information, it becomes an issue of fundamental right. So it's fundamental right of the children to access information, but it's also their right to share information, and platforms must be created. Equally also too, we talked about the issue of privacy. The law said every person has the right to privacy, but equally also too, it has given parents the room to further see what their children do on a daily basis. So I'm not going to do much around me giving them opening statement. I will just go straight to invite my members of the panelists to come on board. I have Fantasise. Fantasise. Ibrahima Jammeh. Mariama Koli. Tira Job. Jenaba Sonko. The last but not the least, Honorable Modu Laminba for Banyu North. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the moderator, I want to avoid doing the talking. And I will introduce the speakers. I will give you a little bit information as to who they are as they will take the mics. So Fantasise is a highly experienced media personality with great influence in TV and radio production and presenting. She hosts events. She also do what we call voiceovers, among other valuable skill sets. She is the founder of the Post Media, the host of a talk show called Sip and Chat. For over a decade, she was the face and the voice as well as the leading figure in strengthening the social and corporate leadership and brand disposition of the leading GSM company in the Gambia, Africell. Fanta, you are welcome, and please have the floor.
Am I audible? Can you hear me? It is. Oh, yeah. Good afternoon. Thank you all so very much for being patient and waiting for us. Our topic today is social media influencers and their impact on children. And what he said basically describes what I do, and that is why we're here. Firstly, I'd like to say that a lot of the things that I'm able to do today is because of social media. So it does have its good, like they say, and it has its bads. And for me, I would want to positively speak on my job and how it has impacted me. Being someone that started out with Africell Gambia Limited, doing voiceovers, doing talk shows, and then branching off to hosting events, and to now being in a state and point where people see me at events and hire me because they appreciate what I've done, or people see me online, on social media. Oh, we've seen Fanta. She hosted Yusundu. She's really good. We should hire her. So for me, social media, I believe I've used for the most positive impact in my life and in my career. And with that, I can only be grateful. But also I understand that being in a position that I'm in, being someone that is looked upon by the young girls of today, you know, when I walk past or when I walked in and I came and sat down, I could hear the girls giggling. And that only let me know that, oh, they've noticed me online, or they've noticed what I do. So I also understand that I have a responsibility when it comes to being an influencer or someone that the young ladies or young girls look up to. And with that, I know that there's a certain way I have to carry myself. There's a certain way I have to speak. There's a certain way I have to dress. Unfortunately, I know it sounds like a lot, but it comes with the job. I didn't ask for it, but it is a responsibility that I carry on with me very proudly, because I know that there is a 17-year-old girl in school who's looking at me and saying, I want to be like Fantasise. So I now then have a responsibility of handling myself well, of doing my job well, of presenting myself well, because I'm not only doing it for myself, I'm doing it for you, I'm doing it for you, I'm doing it for you. So I believe, in my case, understanding these things has been my guiding principle. Obviously with my mom as well. Growing up and going to school, yes, mobile phones were there, very active, we were using it. I remember I had 2 mobile phones. And I remember in my school that year, it was my final year, and we had a big fight. I didn't fight, but as you can already tell, I have a big mouth, so I said some things that got us in trouble. And when my mom found out, she seized my phones and she said to me, this is your final year. There's no way you're going to be using your phones. And what that taught me then was discipline. I knew I had to be disciplined. I knew that my mother was not playing games. I knew that when it came to my education, she needed me to be focused and be disciplined. And growing up with her, she was a tough woman. I called her Margaret Thatcher. But I'm grateful for how she raised me. Because now looking back at my age and everything I've done and how I carry myself, and to be in a position where I can sit with women older than me, men older than me, old enough to be my parents, and I have that respect. That's not simply because, Fanta has a good voice or Fanta has a pretty face. No, it's because Fanta carries herself well. Fanta knows what to say. Fanta values the positions she's in. So when you have your social media, always think about this. Where do I want to be tomorrow? Do I want to be the girl in school that, or she posted nudes and everyone caught of it, and then now, 10 years down the line, so raw mere ni holane. Hay kimo I want jangha bobu ku def lidi. Social media, I'm not dole bo hamne. Nin ko buge mu demala non la demale. So ko buge tie as lead am ko use put def research for school, mangi final year, or government mung masona. What year did Benito Mussolini did X, Y, and Z? Madugo Google, my search for my government paper, history paper. You find out all these things using your social media. So now in school, you've used your social media to benefit yourself. Young you graduate, you've graduated with a B or A in government. That's an excellent grade. So using social media to your advantage now will help you, and that discipline will carry you on. So if you want to be a journalist, if you want to be an event host, if you want to be an actress, whatever it is that you want to be, it starts now. Discipline is the core principle of everything you do, and when you carry that with you, social media will never use you. You will always use social media. So I can only speak on the positives. Thank you very much.
Hello? All right, so thank you, Fanta, very much. Well, the Facebook, they said, the social media, they said, has the good side, has the bad side, has the harmful side. As he has said, but the good side about using it, she has alluded on the fact that, well, we must able to serve as role model, and you cannot be a role model when you are irresponsible. She talked about the element of discipline. Obviously, discipline is something that is fundamental for the development of the human race, that you cannot achieve anything meaningful without discipline. No matter how much you have, without discipline, it's just a matter of time, you lose it all. She talks about having to also realize yourself, know who you are, and then you're able to model yourself in the way you want to be. Someone said, you have to realize yourself and be yourself. Unfortunately, young people, we are not trying to be ourselves. We are trying to be another person that will never be. Thank you so much, Fanta. Next on the list, I have Ibrahim Ajame is an information and technology graduate currently working at NAWEC under the Commerce Department as a meter reader and a revenue officer. Additionally, he does private DJing at parties and events. Do I ask him to do the DJing or do I ask him to do a statement? What do you want? It's a celebration, and I think we need to be able to shake our bodies, right? All right, so Mr. Jame, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. And thank you, Paradise Foundation and Auntie Isa, for organizing this beautiful event. I'm going to talk about bullying, drug abuse, and drug and alcohol abuse. Bullying, drug, and alcohol abuse is a serious problem among youths nowadays, and it has a long-lasting negative effects on their social, physical, and emotional development. Bullying can take many forms, including verbal, physical, and social and cyberbullying. And the most common form of bullying nowadays in our society is cyberbullying, because most people, the most common form of bullying nowadays is cyberbullying, because most people think that they can go to the internet, harass people by sending or spreading false rumors and information on people without getting nothing out of it. Cyberbullying is a very serious problem, and it is like disturbing most of people nowadays. And I can share an example of cyberbullying. I'm not suma bena harit. Let me speak in Wolof. I'm not suma bena harit. Like, she was a victim of cyberbullying because I'm not bena gur. But I'm never on some certain images of her. You have never rafetuñ, and he was threatening her pour ne dafa share videos on photos so about something from her, and he was requesting something from the girl. So lolu taxon na be jangha bu demon na be ne dafa commit suicide because of cyberbullying. And with the help of some police officers and man try nañ bañ jot góor boobu noonu ba téye ko ba woon ko ne su ko defee am na consequences yu bëri yu nekk si kanamam. So loolu taxoon na ba mujjee na ko cancel, and jànq boobu noonu committed suicide. So what I'm trying to explain moo nekk ne there are so many damages that cyberbullying can cause, and we need to do a lot about it. One thing we need to do about it moo nekk ne war nañoo woon gaay ne war nañoo we should teach empathy and kindness in our society, because su fekkee ne empathy teach nañ ko well, when you know what the next man is feeling, yow danga te am yeneen texe pour def yeneen things si to moom, because yaa ngi feel ne su ma defee lii kii empathy boobu noonu teach nañ ma ko. And we should encourage kids to speak up when they experience or witness cyberbullying, because most people feel ni soo gisee cyberbullying mu leen dee disturb dañ ko dee nekk di experience, but they don't have the courage to speak out. So dañ ko dee keeping them ba dem def loo xam ne waruñ koo def. So, and there are a lot more to be done to eradicate cyberbullying in our society, and mu ngi done a lot of damages in society bi. Another thing lu ma bëgg a wax about moo nekk drug and alcohol abuse in our society. Drug and alcohol abuse is a major problem of our society now, because most young people are getting into drug and alcohol abuse due to one reason or the other. And the most reason bu dee tax ñu bëri dee dugg si drug abuse nowadays moo nekk peer influence. Man maa ngi gis suma xarit yi ñu ngi tux, so man tamit dama war a tux without knowing yan consequences ñoo nekk si kanam. Or ñeneen ñi ñu ngi jël drug because of certain situations, ñu ngi fall into certain situations, and guys ñu ngi jël drugs pour escape those situations without knowing ne there are consequences and damages yoo xam ne ñu ngi si kanam. Because ñoom léegi-léegi rek lañ nekk di gis, nekkuñ di gis lan moo nekk si kanam. So I think dañ war a raise awareness programs about teaching people about the damages and the consequences of drug abuse. Lu la dal si kanam when you're into drugs, because so getting into drugs pour escape a situation, yaa ngi try pour escape situation boobu noonu, not knowing ne that can lead to addiction, and addiction boobu noonu can lead to damages such as injuries or long-term health problems. Yeah, those sort of things that. So I think there is a lot that needs to be done to eradicate drug abuse and cyberbullying in society.
Thank you so much. There is a lot more to be done around issue of drugs and substance abuses. What is been done so far so good is not only suppressing the less privileged who are drug users, but trying not to deal with the main suppliers. Drug is a complex one. And whether we know it or not, our country is at a crossroad. 60% or more of this country is youthful population, is of the youth. Greater percentage of youth are not employed, and Mr. Sede has said it here. When you get to a certain stage in life, it becomes between two things, it's development and survival. The few who thinks about development, the majority thinks about survival. Those who now think about development become the victims of those who think about survival. So there's a whole lot of system, as you said, we need to do a lot more. And I think the government needs to invest more around youth empowerment programs, and government must be able to create employment and decent way of living for young people in this country.
Yeah.
Yes, you talked about the issue of social media. Currently, it's not about how do we make sure children don't use social media. It's about how each and every one of us will be able to take our rightful responsibility to engage young people, as you said, encourage young people to speak. Most often when young people are faced with bullying, they hardly talk to or report the matter to authorities. The only person they might report to is the people they know, but hardly they report matters to the authorities. So that's why it is important that whenever it happens to you, whenever a stranger tries to bully you online, simply call 1313. Thank you so much, Mr. Jame. The next on the list is Mariama Koli. Mariama is an award-winning actress, radio personality, gender rights activist. Whose passion is rooted in utilizing art as a platform to effect change within her community. She is recognized for speaking up against societal issues affecting women and girls in the Gambia by using her radio platform to host a mentorship show for young people called Let's Talk Show to discuss pertinent societal issues affecting her community. So Mariama, thank you for coming, and we are proud that you are able to find the time to join this important national dialogue. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Marvin, my fellow panelists. I am really happy and honored to share this platform with each and every one of you. And ladies and gentlemen present here and the students, like he mentioned, my name is Mariama Koli. I am an award-winning actress, a radio host, and an activist. And I started my journey when I was 12 years old. So that means I was very young. I was literally a student like most of you here. And my passion really started with full commitment of education. Now, drama is one of those professions that Africans don't value a lot. Like when you tell people you're an actress, they will ask you, what else do you do? And your language says, like a theater, what are you doing? But it has paid off. Internationally, we've seen actors and we embrace them. We watch international films, we watch Senegalese theaters, we watch Nigerian films, and we're able to embrace them. But as Gambians, why can't we embrace our own? So over the past few years, with commitment and hard work, and of course with opportunities that came my way, I have been able to be featured on so many films that has landed me my first international award in the US Hollywood Golden Film Awards in Hollywood and in the Romania Film Festival. So overall, the reason why I'm giving you a brief background about that is social media did play a role in my success. Now, most of the time we use social media for entertainment or to kill our time, just to be on social media, to share our beautiful photos, our beautiful videos of us dancing and singing, and not utilize it to our great advantage. Do you all know there are so many opportunities on social media where you can have jobs, where you can make money, where you can network and change your life? Do you know that? How many of you know that here? Do you know you can use social media for more than just entertainment? Do you know you can use social media for more than just sitting there and chatting with a random person you don't know? Either from America, from Europe, from Gambia, just making online friends. Well, I have been able to learn myself those opportunities from social media. Some of the movies that I got featured in were from are really who they say they are. So be very careful. But I just stand up because I got lots of more. You need to be very careful as well. Now, as a child growing up, I was very involved in raising awareness on drugs and sexual reproductive health. Because I was a peer health member, and back then in school we had a FFLE lesson, which was very, very helpful. It has changed our lives, especially during my time. Unfortunately, I don't know why the Ministry of Education is still holding back and bringing back FFLE, but I think it would really help in raising awareness on drugs and sexual reproductive health. Because information is power. If you know what can prevent you, it's better than you walking in darkness, not knowing how to prevent yourself from being victims of drug abuse or being sexually abused. These are topics that we shy away from. But the more we talk about it, the better we are prepared and the better it will also protect us from becoming victims. So I hope the Ministry of Education will really bring forward these subjects back in school, and some of you also join groups that will also help you educate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mariama. Degrees and upon degrees without making any positive impact on society is useless. And I think it's important that we reflect on our educational curriculum to make sure that what we actually will put in for students to go through should be something that will be able to help them to make a positive impact on the society. Social media or any media platform makes you and can break you. And when the media breaks you negatively, it takes you a lifetime for you to recover. Having worked in the media, I know what it means. It is important that you use the media platform for educational purpose. And it is important that when you look at your content, it should be positive.
Yeah.
It should be educative. But what is more important is the relevance and the impact. When it is not relevant, when the issue is not of relevance, do not be influenced by your peers to put it on the social media. So thank you so much, Mariama. Next on the panel is Tida Job. Tida is a comedian that uses social media advocate and influence other social media users in a positive way.
Mm.
She started comedy in 2020 when her TikTok videos started getting people's attention, which led her to a large followers. Tida, welcome.
Thank you. This is Tira Cherry, inside Killer's Body. New students and also my fellow influencers, and my favorite person, Fanta, and her blend mer, and that's my cousin, Jenaba. We recently know each other, Hamga, Moilolo, family, Bari Sonkokunda. Malena nu yen yep ku nek sa tur sa santa di len wax ne duma jël much of your time luma len wax moy hol len ci man degala social media metina nek fa metina dega saka nga nek jigen nek ci media bi di def lo xamantene people are looking up to you. Students yange look up to you, kids, and even mak yo xamantene they are looking up to you. You always have to make sure you keep things positive. Easy wood, because sometimes dang they mëna bay yoon xam nga dugal dara hol ne li rafetul su ko ni déggee dina am lu moo def si moom wala dina def loo xamante ne kooku dina ñëw di toppa suma tànka si lu bon, so you end up deleting something. Foog nga am loo xam ne post nga ko rek like loo ko nga delete ko, because people are looking up to us, people are looking up to me. So for that being the case, maa ngi leen a wax yéen students yi, yéen xale yi nga xamante ne yéen a ngi use social media, xamul leen fa dara ngeen fa xamut. The only thing you guys know there is just follow Tida Job, follow Killer, follow me. Mota dama dey try always when I'm doing my videos, ma def li nga xamantene da ngeen fa janga du nekk loo xamantene saga la wala fen la wala loo xamantene dafa def dara sen life be yaaxal leen also. I always want to keep things positive. Mota doo leen ma gis ma hulo, doo leen gis ma saga. Loolu rek ngeen xam ci media bi, just to follow people like online. Cardi bi dugal na li, Nicki Minaj def na li, post bi Nicki Minaj wasin na. Like it's not your thing. Use social media to improve yourself, your education, sabopa, janga. Like even when it comes to your hygiene. Loli ye munga ko janga si media bi, maybe yangi am yaay bo xamantene amu sa time. Yo being the student, yo being the kid, yo amal hell. Legi ñu ci 2023 nekkuñ ci era bo xamantene you have to wait for your mom to tell you defal li bay li. No, you have to know that for yourself. Xam nga lu bon, xam nga lu ba, da nga tay telu. ñun yëpp we grew up def lu bon def lu baax dañoo tey teelu ñoo gën a xam ne lu ñoo def nii baaxut lii kenn du ko def di yoo di dem sa kër far o di ñàkk a study o di def lu bon o di dugga si media bi taking nude picture of yourself send it to someone ñoo gën a xam ne baaxut because soo ko def doo ko wax keneen xam nga ne baaxut kuy def lu baax dafa génn si biti wax ko ñëpp xam nga lu bon xam nga lu baax so why not you just do the good thing don't wait for your parent don't wait for your mother don't wait for a social media influencer to tell you lii moo baax lii moo bon yaa ko war a xamal sa bopp from this age and also to say something else waxuma xale yi mag yi laa nekk di wax at this point right now mag yi Gambia sorry to say waaye ñu ñoo nekk di yaxa xale yi because dangaa dugga social media ñoo fa gis ñuy saaga yëpp du nekk student du nekk xale dégg la student si ñeme nañ mun nañoo def lu bon waaye du ñëw taxaw si media di ko wonee like jaxaran nit yi di ko gis bariwul benn lañ ko compté ñeneen ñu bari ñuy def lu bon suñ demee ba nit ñu yëg ko out there being a student wala mu nekk kii dafa fekk nit moo leen expose waaye doom ñu di ñëw ne jaxaran di ko def yu bon yuy am si media bi yëpp mag yi ñoo koo def if you know yaa ngi def loo xamante ne like being a party or mu nekk loo xamante ne yaa ngi koo def in your own comfort zone don't put it on the media don't post yourself smoking shisha because okay yaa ngi smoke shisha you are high class you don't have to do that xale yi ñu ngi laa seetaan ñu ngi koo gis li nga def yow yaa koo def that's your life that's you do it but don't put it on the media soo jotee ak nit soo leen naa xuloo soo leen naa xare moo tax ñu def fi police am na fi ay mag ñu ngi fi ay kilifa ay imam ñu ngi fi if you have some problem with someone dem leen ngeen wax ko aside dem leen ngeen toog ngeen wax ko si cabinet ngeen tëju waxtaanee ko foofu mujjee soo leen naa reyante ngeen reyante bu ko kenn gis bu ko kenn dégga but the moment you come on the media commencé di saaga ndey di yuuxu mu am benn student wala benn xale bu mel ni Mami Roche mu gis ko ne kii mu ngi saaga njee man tam xama jëm attaque boyom bitik bi mu ma yeb suma xaalis bi ñëw ma koo jox nga jëm attaque boyom bitik bi dem saaga ko because kooku mu ngi la may that confidence yaa ngi seetaan kooku yaa ngi gis nu moo acté nu moo saagee yow tamit yaa ngi aggressive inside you yaa ngi happy because seytaane dafa bari doole it's not ne okay yaa ngi seetaan kii mu ngi def lu bon yow si saa si copy nga ko like kooku lu mu nekk di def lu bon loolu lu nga nekk di copy kooku moo la nekk di influence it's not that it's Satan because seytaane lu bon rek moo dee kontaan loo nit fii nii lu bon lu ñoo wax lu ñoo def moo la dee kontaan loo saaga ndey bi ak xasante bi on social media that makes people happy not the other way around so ñëwee nga post yëfi jaama yëfi peace like there was a time I was doing a video for Peace Hub ma post video bi no one even cared about the video what they care about is just saga bi haste bi and that was the time this Bob Keda or whatever problem with Senabu Mbai was going people were not looking at the peace side they were just looking at the violent side this saga and lolu mo yaha students is sorry to say keep being you don't let the people mak you nekk social media ñaka fayda ñu wé ci len study learn use it to impact yourself on a better side please thank you warama defal len kilo legi tay
use social media to make impact and to positively put yourself to something far better. Gambia, as small as we are one of the leading countries when it comes to abusing social media. The issue of indiscipline displayed on social media is something that we cannot, is mind-blowing. And what she said is right. There would be a day that you wouldn't go to social media and you wouldn't have one or two issues, or irrelevant issues for that matter. To advance this country is not on personal attacks. To advance this country is not on partisan politics, insulting our parents, insulting each other. We must reasonably, young people must resist. Do not be taken by event. And one thing also to adults are responsible for, the issue of sharing of nude pictures of children, innocent children for that matter. That things happen, the next minute you will know. I mean, Fatih has picked it and has shared it to Bintu. Bintu has taken it and shared it. Before you know it is on social media. You are contributing to destroying the life of that particular person for the rest of his or her life. So let adult population be responsible as young people are taught to be responsible. Thank you. The next speaker we are going to have is Janaba Sonko. Janaba holds a bachelor's degree bachelor's degree in journalism, and she is currently pursuing her master's in international relations and diplomacy. Jennifer is a senior news anchor, reporter, and a program host at QTV. She is the host.
Okay.
She is the host of the famous and educative youth dialogue on QTV. Jennifer, you are welcome.
Thank you so much. First of all, let me say I'm so excited to be amongst these brilliant young people because ñi yëpp suma ay mag lañ man dama mag di gis ñi, so a round of applause for them because they are amazing. So sitting in the midst of them actually makes me amazing. So I'm going to be a little bit negative, okay, about the whole topic of social media influencers. First of all, let's understand who a social media influencer is. So a social media influencer is an individual who controls how you eat, how you talk, how you dress, even how you walk, even how you treat the next person sitting beside you. That shows you how powerful a social media influencer is. This might be somebody that you worship in a way that Jainaba did this. Jainaba cut her hair. I'm supposed to do the same thing. So social media influencers have a huge responsibility. In journalism, we have something called a journalism code of conduct. Social media influencers do not have a journalism code of conduct. They have conscience. They also have a moral responsibility because they do not have this conduct on paper. So it's what I call a moral responsibility that they should go by, objectivity that they also have to go by. As a person who's on social media and also on TV, when an issue is a court case, I do not comment on it. When an issue is controversial, I do not comment on it, because the moment I do, there's a young girl sitting there who will say, Jainaba ni la ko interprete, Jainaba wahambi muy diga. So as social media influencers, we have a responsibility to be objective as to what we put out there, because there are people waiting for every single action that we do for them to follow suit. That is how dangerous it is. And another thing is, it's not everything that you see on social media is reality. We have social media influencers who advocate for brands or do business with brands. They talk about maybe waist trainers. They talk about exercise tips. Trust me, they had a surgery. It's not true. What you saw that person tried to portray, that very tiny waist, Coca-Cola shape, is not true. It was not a waist trainer. That person did not take a tablet to have that waist. That person went through a surgery. So you, that is influenced by that, will tend to follow those things and think it is the right thing to do. You see their skin colors, you think it's the reality. It is not, it's a filter. So, luma jema wax rek moy, lo len de gis on social media nekut dega. Tay nga gis Jainaba Sonko mu nge sanse. Tricot mbuba yu ma de sol yeb, duma ko de jënda. So xale bu jigéen bu toog fele bu ga toppa loolu dafa dem prostitute boppam waaw wala déedéet. That is how prostitution comes about. 3/4 of the things that I wear dama dugga si benn shop ñu ne Jainaba Sonko la daf maa jox shout out on QTV am mee naa la ko ma sol ko nataalu post du dëgga. Sometimes ngeen gis ma my TikTok di smile, it's not true. Maa ngi am ay naxar xëj na maa ngi depressed sax waaye I'm not gonna come on social media and show you my depression. I'm hiding behind that. So it's important that we show you the realities when it comes to the behaviors of social media influencers. We're talking about drugs. I'm happy somebody mentioned shisha. I know on QTV when I say youth dialogue, I have like a clan that is behind me. Dafuma, Madam T.S.C.sa, I don't even know the correct pronunciation. I know I am not supposed to do it because I have a moral responsibility. So the moment you are on the limelight as a social media influencer, singa wara xamne dafa am jabot bu ma topa. Te njabot bi luma def lolu lañu def. So bu boba ma wara set suma tanka fu mako wara tek. Waye dem nañ ba gis na tam social media influencers amna yu baax yuñ dé def nañ wax ci yoy tam suñu waxé suñu boni gis nañ Nigerian election bi social media influencers yi génn nañ di wax ne ñu votal a certain person te influence nañ gaay Peter Obi votes yum am majority of Peter Obi's vote social media moo tax bolatina bu dafa am xaalisam waaw dafa am ñu jox parce que noonu la politique Gambia dee doxee allegedly those are the allegations journalist la xaaral ma ne allegedly so allegedly he had some dubious acts that he did ba mun a am that voter turnout waaye di nga gis na Peter Obi digga voter turnout bu mu am is through social media so loolu di la won how powerful social media influencers are waaye du ne social media influencers amuñ naxar rek lañ am parce que ñu ngi toog si kanami mbooloo di wax si télé fu ñu war a teg suñ tànka dañ ko war a xool soo bu boobaa naxar bu bari dangaa eewu sax depress waaye ndax di nga bëgg a dem social media wax ne dama depress doo ko def parce que feel nga ne am nga sa ennemi bu nekk si benn koona mu ngi laa seetaan te doo bëgg a mu xamal la waaw wala déedéet ñun ñëpp noonu lañ ko dee defee so at the end of the day dangaa act su ma ñëwee on this morning ñëw on youth dialogue that is not the real me. This morning, for example, my colleague Ibrahima Balde ñoo ko dee def nuñ dee behave su ko defee oh they couple maybe loolu yëpp acting la pour get seen attention damaa act parce que loolu laay liggéey suma liggéey la waaye su loolu passé damaa dem fompa suma make-up bi génnee suma wig bi dem tëdda nelaw te it's a different me at the end of the day at that point in time so generally moo maa indi si di point ne gëm leen seen boppa as xale dangaa gëm sa boppa man tey soo gisee ma mun a toog ak ay mag fu nekk mun naa faa duga fu mag wax ma wax gëm suma boppa moo tax bi maa dog suma kawar bi dañ ma ne nit ñi cheveux la ñoo sol léegi kenn dogatut kawaram ma ne la waa maa dëgër boppa maa koo dog parce que dama gëm ne mun naa koo def te war naa ko mun a def gëm sa boppa weesuwut loolu soo ku nekk gëmal sa boppa gëm li nga bugga fii nga war a teg sa tànka bul compare sa boppa ak kenn Gambia bi rëy na rëy boo xam ne ku nekk mun naa achieve Gambia benn nit mënu koo jeexal tey man su ma achieve boor bi tiida di achieve boor bi Fanta nekka fele Mariama nekka fele so the moment nga indi competition boobu yaa ngee defeat sa purpose as a young person di grow up moo dee waral ñuy duga si yoo xam ne waruñ see duga soo fooy teg sa tànk xam man kenn mënu maa dugal fu maa duga rek daf ma leer nañ te loolu yëpp si beginning bi ni ngeen nekkee xale ngeen ko war a miinee ñu ngi fi am suñu yaay yi tamit suñoo yar suñ doom yi ñu won leen ne nañ content loo am loolu nga am loo gis social media it's just something else illusion la nekkul dëgga soo dama ne woon ne rek xama cabaxal si olof parce que dama fi gis suma ay yaay yu am maana ma ne xaaral ma defanteeg ñoom te loolu laa def thank you
Thank you so much, Jenaba. Not everything you see on social media is real. There are a lot of fake images on social media. But she also talked about the issue of morality. And when I looked at the issue of having the moral obligation on each and every one of us to make that change, before the end of my statement, I'll give a story that I read 3 days ago on social media. And you see how guilty we all will be when it comes to all these issues we are discussing. So thank you so much, Jennifer. The last but not the least on the panel is Honorable Mamadou Lamin Ba. Honorable Lamin Ba is the MP for Banjul North. He has served under different capacities, ranging from being the chairperson of the Banjul Youth Committee. He equally has served as a board member for the National Youth Council, that of NEDI, National Enterprise Development Initiative, and equally also to a board member for the President International Award Scheme. Mr. Honorable Ba, you are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fati, the MC of this important session. Assalamu alaikum to the high panelists, because they are sitting below us. Assalamu alaikum to each and everyone present. Manglena nuyu ñep ci sen tour ak sen santa. Mr. Fati, definitely a short introduction about myself. Why dina si adopt benambir. Tay dama kontaan parce que ma may papi kër bi lu tax ma ne ma may papi kër bi dama seize opportunity bi even though everybody is talking about Aisha dama bëgg a seize opportunity bi pour Aisha mu jóg ñëpp ñu xam ne I am a proud father. Aisha taxawal please pour ñëpp gis la kii mooy Aisha Paradise Foundation initiative war ngeen koo xàmmee bu baax parce que liggéey bu ñoo def di dafa am solo torop parce que tey topic bu ñu fay deal with tey soo gisee ñu am sago bi pour ñëw fii pour waxtaan ak suñ moromi ndaw yi moo particularly suñ parents yi parce que dañ xam ne lu nekk si kër la lay commencé waaye si biir loolu tamit balaa maa jëna xuus si waxtaan bi dama seize opportunity bi pour gërëm suma mentor di Mr. Souleymane Bun Jaay nekk suma advisor as part of my constituency coordinating and planning committee mu am fa njëriñ lool ñu bari wax neen things about him here waaye xam naa ne tey lu ko nit xam-xam fii si biir hall bi kenn jënuma koo xam parce que xam naa fan leen commencé ba ma nekk tey a National Assembly member representing the people of Banjul North and beyond so si biir loolu dinaa ne topic bi la fa am solo torop lu tax ma ne topic bi la fa am solo man nag dama ko faran fàcce si ñaari mbir lu tax nag ma choose pour laaka olof parce que dama bugg a communication bu ma def fii mu nekk loo xam ne ku nekk dina understand lu may wax te soo demee si sa own community di nga mun a relate information bu ma fee joxe man su ma ne si ñaari fànna laa koo def dama koo def si wàllum baax ak bon ñu ñëpp xam leen ne lu bari si àdduna la fa am loo xam ne baax na si am na loo xam ne bon na si waaye tamit pour jëna rafetal wala pour dëgëral wax bi dama commencé si mbiri lu baax si loo xam ne dem na si social media te man foog naa ne man as a person loolu laa lay jëna jëfandikoo parce que mënuma xalaat in any situation boo xam ne involve naa suma boppa si any social media platform boo xam ne la fa am pour def ak lu bon so si biir loolu dinaa seize benn advantage boo xam ne just of recent ñu ñëpp yëgoon neen flash flood bu happen Banjul flash flood happen na Banjul mu nekk situation boo xam ne képp koo xam ne yaa ngi dëkkoon Banjul more particularly Banjul North di suma constituency te dama ne tundi Tobacco Road ñu ñëpp xamuñ woon lu ñoo def man mii suma boppa xawma woon lu maa def waaye si ndimbali yàlla ak tamit gom lu ñoo oyee team work ma decide pour work ak suma team mooy the office of the councillor for the ward ba pare teg si tamit the Gambia Red Cross ñu ngi am branch in Banjul the Banjul Red Cross we work together te amuñ si loolu ba leen ñëwee pour xalaat lan la ñoo def parce que situation bi dem na ba nga xam ne nit yi mënatuñoo fanaan seen néeg yi parce que ndox bi already la fa commencé dugga seen néeg yi mu nekkoon a very devastating situation so ñu ne léegi lan la ñoo def ñu ne waaw fu mu nekk nii the only option bu ñu am mooy leen create a display center waaye tamit suñ create a display center it's just like ñu ngi create an empty space without anything how can we bring in facilities yoo xam ne dinañ equip that center ma ne leen ne loolu dëgg la waaye notwithstanding as an authority it is very important pour nga nekk ku innovative ba pare ngay xalaat outside the box so what I did was I used my own social media platform and I went to my own timeline emuma si loolu de dama dem ba Palmasin foo xam ne moo nekk fall bi because of foofu su doxoon duñ experience the flash flood ma dem Facebook live bu ma demee Facebook live ma gis the amount of reaction from the public mu nekk ñoo xam ne nekkuñ sax si réew mi immediately the moment ma wàcca si daanaka building ni Palmasin bi delluwaat si display center bi I started receiving calls even Facebook messages that we want to reach out because we understand that the situation is very devastating. It will be very important to do so because as we are talking right now, families are coming. These are families ñoo xam ne amuñ fenn fu ñoo dem mu nekk loo xam ne at the end of the day dem na ba reach the head of the state muy président bi yàlla def président bi si boppam bal la ko gisee mu ñëw fekka si ñu si ground bi te bal la ñu fekkee si ground bi yàlla la fa def tamit ne ñun tamit at our level at our community level we came up with initiatives because da ngaa gis ne so many people came to reach out starting from the mayor of Banjul. I can fully remember when she called and said maa ngi fii de waaye xaw ma sax lu may def because by then she was away ma ne ko bul worry leena mu ngi si ñun ñu ngi si ground bi te we are using all the materials available to make sure that we make good use of the situation to remedy the situation, which was very key. Why can you imagine? I can frankly and openly say today, with the usage of social media, more particularly Facebook, we were able to realize a solution to that problem. Because at the end of the day, all the relevant stakeholders, despite any political affiliation, any political difference, we came together as a community. We came together as a nation. And we were able to solve a problem. Bo hamne, ñu happen in Banjul since 1948. So li mu nekkoon loo xam ne man balaa toogee after problem bi dama ne social media de nekk na loo xam ne wax dëgg ne yàlla if you really make good use of it you can make a positive impact towards your people and towards your community. Te yàlla def man part of my manifesto bu ma loon campaign waa Banjul North dama leen ne I am here to introduce better representation. How do I intend to do that? I am here to address your needs and your concerns. And how can I do that? It is to go to the parliament and represent you very well, more particularly when it comes to the different functions of a parliamentarian. Tetei, wa Banjul na naka len nekk di realize ne I am representing them in parliament. It's through social media. Because through social media, you get access to the audios of my deliberations in parliament. You get access to some of the issues that are really affecting them that I talk about during parliamentary session. So li mu nekk loo xam ne just of recent, that is the last adjournment debate that we have at the parliament, that was in December, that was the 4th session, ordinary session. I can remember our last adjournment debate, I spoke about the shortage of water in the city of Banjul, which I put it to the ministers responsible or the ministries responsible that it is unacceptable. And guess what? Just after a week, because the people that we are mostly affected, we are the people, police line, that is the police estate. Can you imagine people that are responsible for our security? They don't have access to water for 4 good years. Is that acceptable? Is that fair? So when I raise this issue in parliament, the Minister of Interior, in collaboration with any ministry that is responsible, they reach out to the people of police line. And guess what? 2-3 of my electorates within the constituency or within police estate called my attention by sending me a voice note and said, we are saying a very big thank you to you. Because of what we had, what you said in parliament, and today the ministry have already sent NAWEC to come and solve the problem. Is that not impactful? So these are things that we can really make good use of. And to be honest, like I said, I understand that time is given to me. We are politicians. When we are given platforms, then le wah be mara detali. While notwithstanding, I also want to seize the opportunity also to thank the people that are still here with us. Parce que luta may wax li la fa important torop tay message bo len fe am si ben si ñaar dina len mëna njëriñ te si biir lolu ma ngi gërëmaat Paradise Foundation Initiative ak any other donor partner bo xamne contribute na to this important initiative ba pare buga daanele ne ma ngi buga seize opportunity bi pour wish képp jigéen boo xam ne mu ngi si Gambia bi képp jigéen boo xam ne mu ngi si àdduna bi képp jigéen boo xam ne mu ngi toog fii suñ biir a happy International Women's Day te dina na ñaanal yàlla parce que yéen a amee suñ kër yi loolu moom suma baat ci kaw. I am so proud of Gambian women. Commencé ko nag ci suma jabar ak suma yaay.
Thank you.
So si biir loolu dinaa leen bàyyee benn message boo xam ne is very important te more particularly yéen xale yi. Dégg naa fi previous speakers ñu ngi wax ne nii ne there is no limits in terms of achieving what you want to achieve, but I can tell you one secret about myself. Da ngeen lee dégg the word impossible. Impossible, the word impossible. Man depuis bu ma nekkee xale dama separate the word I am with possible, ma ne I am possible. Jërë ngeen jëf.
All right, thank you, Honorable. You have touched on the importance of using social media positively, and we have seen the impact of social media in even having this event been organized in a well-coordinated manner. Social media needs to be used now. Looking at our current situation, we are not using social media to unite. We are not using the social media to form a synergy towards national building. We are using social media to divide and destroy the social fabric of the society. Yes, I want to note that we all should look up to one person that has been referred to over and over and over by previous speakers. Mr. Njai, thank you for your service to the nation. And I only hope, as young people, as we transit through life, we look up to people like Mr. Njai, so that when you are at his age, we could remember you for the positive impact that you have made in the life of so many other people. On that note, I want to say thank you to my panelists, and I want to say very much big thank you again. DPS, you have done wonders for this day, and then I know the rest, Aisha and the rest would actually extend their gratitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lamin, and your speakers. It was not a bad idea to have the young ones speak last. I like your resilience and the way you are able to sustain the energy in yourself. Thank you for being part of your own show. We really appreciate it. Auntie Fanta, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, children, we have spent hours to discuss very critical and important issues today. I would like to thank the speakers and everyone who has participated for their insightful and heartfelt contributions. Special thanks goes to the survivors who shared their stories here, and also to Auntie Fanta, who supported us financially. Our discussions have been one of many ongoing around the world for this year's International Women's Day celebration. For the Gambia, our homeland, this has been the first, a hugely important opportunity to spotlight the connection between social media, teenage, drugs, sexual exploitation, abuse, and harassment against women, and empowering women and girls to make positive choices. It is difficult to add much to the interesting discussions we've already had. Our eyes, our ears, our hearts are all full of stories of bravery and hope. Stories that will stay with us when we return to our offices and our homes, motivating us to ensure that we are taking actions against all forms of exploitation and abuse to empower these young girls and women in making positive choices in life. As we have discussed, we noticed that the close interconnection between social media, teenage, drug abuse, sexual exploitation, and women empowerment to make positive choices for national development compels us to look at these three issues together. Education or social life for young people, it's a choice. Although every situation is different, there are common patterns that have been seen. Implications of adolescent risky behaviors, abuse of social media, and the drugs on health, society, and the economy have been discussed here at length. However, what remains common and outstanding is that unguided and unprotected conversations on social media, bullying, untimely sex, and drug abuse among young adolescents often lead to further erosions of our most important assets in this country, and that is the human capital, and that is you. And the vulnerability to violence and the HIV transmission. As we have heard during the deliberations, drugs, violence against women, and abuse of social media has a strongly negative impact on women and the girls' ability to make positive choices. We have seen examples whereby the influencers have said, if they do this, you do that. If they do their head tie like this, you do that. When are you going to make a better choice? And they were honest today to tell us that behind the scene, it's different. Have your own behind the scene. Be control of yourself and make your own choices. Illnesses, including HIV/AIDS, or injuries as a result of unprotected sex and violence, may reduce the work capacity over the long term, cutting productivity and depleting livelihood assets that we have as a nation. In addition to any physical and psychological suffering caused by sexual exploitation and abuse, young girls, let me tell you, social media and drugs in many countries, the victims are stigmatized and excluded from the community activities. We have heard from the story of a survivor, how she has been victimized to a point that she had to move out of town to ensure that she's standing by her child. What a story. Times have changed, and really we need to move with times. Our parenting methodologies need to change. When she was a young girl and she was a survivor, the best her mom could do was to babysit her child so that she could go back to school. But with the change of times, what is she doing to her daughter, who is a survivor? She knows what to do, and she called 1313, and she made sure that she followed the procedures and the guidelines to the latter to make sure that justice is done. But we know that change is possible, and change is what we are fighting for. For example, we have seen that when we collaborate between women and men in the household, everything improves. And this leads to happy family that is necessary for child care. This means for women struggling to raise their children, improving gender relations and preventing abuse of drugs and social media by their teens are vital keys to unleashing their full human potential, social and economic inclusive. And that is why empowering women and girls to make positive choices is a key issue for the work of Paradise Foundation, Child Protection Alliance, Child Fund the Gambia, Action Aid the Gambia, the Global Fund, World Bank, UNICEF, and the government of the Gambia. My deepest thanks to all of you who have joined forces from different walks of life, spending the whole day here. It's a real commitment. We will continue with regional consultations in the month of March in our efforts to come up with a strong national call for action. We are not going to wrap it here. We are not drawing the curtain. That call will be very loud. We will use our voices as women. From today, we say to the world that you cannot ignore that call. Be prepared, gentlemen, and be prepared, the Gambia. I'm talking to you, the Gambia. You cannot ignore that call. You cannot put that phone on mute or on silence. You must answer it, and we must speak. We have waited too long enough. Now it is time to take a stand, to close the gaps, to remove obstacles, to invest in women and girls, to move from our deeds to action. Not next year, not tomorrow, not next minute, it's right now, and we are starting now. The reason is simple. We cannot fulfill 100% of the Gambia's potential by excluding 50% of the Gambian population that are women. It's not possible. The year 2023 is pivotal for people of our country. We can make the year of the Green Recovery Development Plan. That's the success of NDP from 2023 to 2027. What a great opportunity for us to influence the National Development Plan successor with all the discussions that we have had here. We can make it the year that transforms the lives of a generation. For that to happen, women must be in the front and at the center. I thank you all for being front and center here in Benjamin Hall today, for women and for our country. Today we have been reminded that what many women and young girls suffer throughout their lives, and of the terrible consequences that has for them and their children. Let us remember what we have learned today and keep it on every agenda. for that all women and all girls deserve a life free from violence and exploitation. I am proud to have been part of this dialogue. You can count on my support and on the support of Child Fund. Let us work for a stronger country and a better future. For all with equal rights and for boys and girls. These boys and girls are the ones who are going to take care of our future tomorrow. If I age, these boys and girls are going to decide whether they are going to throw me away in the home of an adult, or they are putting in policies whereby somebody takes care of me. Investing in them is to our own interest too. As I conclude, I want to apologize to you that our formalities have not been completed. We are not able to get the cash in hand to be able to refund you transport refunds. And we have your contact details from the register, and I will call each and every one of you to ensure that you receive your transport refund. We were delayed, and I hope you understand. Besides that, I want to wish all of you safe journey back home, and we continue the consultations and the engagements. For women and the young girls of this country are the cream, and we look up to them. Thank you all so much.
Yamakatan mamarisen man nonu lay doxé ba dama xam nit ki wo fexé la xam mom moy kan momit mu xam yow ki nga doon